you're supposed to record it. So welcome everybody, thank you for being here. I really appreciate everyone adjusting their calendars if you had to make this meeting. Today is the kickoff meeting for the Palo Alto Bicycle Boulevards project. And so as you can see from around the table, we got a lot of projects going on. And so before we do anything, why don't we just do quick introductions? My name is Jaime Rodriguez, I'm the Chief Transportation Official for the City of Palo Alto.
I'm Rafael Rios, I'm a traffic engineer and will be managing some of the projects.
I'm Holly Boyd, I'm a Senior Engineer in Public Works Engineering, and I'm the Project Manager for the Charleston Rossi Road.
I'm Matt Burns, I'm the Project Engineer for the City, I work for Holly.
Katrine Mackey, work for Alto Planning and Design, and I'll be working on the Google projects.
Hi, I'm Brooke Bose with Baron Pierce, and I've been working on the Maple Boulevard project.
Matt Haynes with Farron Pierce, be working on the other bike projects.
Charlie Alexander with Farron Pierce.
Lauren Ledbetter with BTA.
Ron Sanza with Sandus.
Alex Sweet from Alto.
Casey Hildreth from Alto Planning and Design.
Josh Mello with Alto Planning and Design.
Jimmy Sims of Mark Thomas and Company.
I'm Mazzotti, Mark Thomas.
Great, all right, everybody, thank you very much. So, you know, we have a lot of projects happening in the city. A lot of them came from the Palo Alto Bicycle Boulevards RFP that we had late last year. And a lot of these contracts were just awarded back about a month ago now, because we're trying to consolidate all these projects to kick off at the same time. But a lot of these projects, to be honest with you, were delayed because of just community concerns regarding just the amount of development that's happening in the city. So we took a step back to make sure that we can let some of those concerns begin to simmer down. And then when we saw that, you know, we had the RFP Boulevard out, it really made a lot of sense to just wait to award everything at once. So I know some of you have gone through your RFP process several months ago, so I do want to thank you guys for being patient and kind of letting us move forward. I think Mark Thomas, you guys waited the longest, you know, along with Ron over at for the Churchill project. So let me kind of start off. I can just kind of walk you down the list. If you didn't pick up an agenda and a map up front, you know, please feel free to do so. We put together a map just to kind of help you realize, help you see the level of projects that are happening in the city. You know, we color coded everything by consultant, so you kind of get a flavor for who's working on what projects. And one of the things that we did was, because so many of the projects begin to overlap one another, this kind of image here, which we'll put online for you shortly, was at least my attempt at trying to figure out, okay, when the projects intersect, who has the responsibility of designing the intersection where the projects do, in fact, meet one another. So if you see a dot, the color code basically means that's the consultant that's leading that effort off. Again, 10 of these projects came from the Bicycle Boulevards program. Some of them were actually already in the queue or active projects. So I won't list all the Bicycle Boulevard projects, but you know, Farron Pierce, as Brooke mentioned, was working on the Maybell project for us. And Jimmy and Admis from Mark Thomas are scheduled to work on the Charleston Arastradero Road Corridor project. Ron from Sandus is going to be working on the Churchill project. That's the one for Sandus. And am I missing any of them? Oh, the Google projects. The Google projects are being designed by Alta, but being paid for directly by Google. So thank you, Katrine, for being here. And Katrine, maybe afterwards, you and I can meet after this meeting. We have to talk a little bit about the scope of work for your specific project still. But we're glad to have you here, and thank Google for taking the time to fund those projects for us. So again, a lot of projects going on. There are some projects that we've been working on in the city on our own that I want to list also, and that's the Matadero Margarita Bicycle Boulevard. That's up at the end of the Barron Park neighborhood, along with the Fabian Way project, which is just near the southern border with Mountain View. We also have a few projects that are going to be coming up for additional RFPs or design work starting probably in the next few months. I just wanted to highlight those really quick. One of those is going to be the Embarcadero Road plan line and design study process. That's going to be from approximately El Camino Real towards Alma. That's an RFP that should come out at the beginning of the fiscal year in July. And we're going to release an RFP to do the design work for the Matadero Margarita El Camino Real intersection. That's scheduled to be awarded out sometime again around July for an RFP, I mean. And then the County of Santa Clara is going to be bringing on one of the on-call consultants, I don't know who that's going to be, to do the plan line work for the Page Mill corridor between Highway 280, or Interstate 280, and probably just before the Alma Street bridges. We'll come back to that a little later, but those are projects that are going to be coming up that we'll also begin to track through this process. Did I miss anybody's projects off this map? If I did, this would be a good time to bring it up. Okay,
Talk about
and
Stanford?
oh, the Stanford perimeter projects, I did list those, thank you, Holly. Those are shown in the light blue color. So Stanford has a separate project that they're working on through a grant from the County of Santa Clara that includes the El Camino Real section, Stanford Avenue, and Uniprocera Boulevard pieces, and those will intersect with some of the projects that both Sandus and that Fair and Pierce are going to be working on. And again, the dot in this specific case means that the consultants in this room will be working on the intersection pieces with the Stanford projects. So again, a lot of projects happening. We are really seeing this from the city standpoint that we're not trying to see this as individual projects with individual consultants. It makes a lot of sense for us to try and coordinate these projects together, and that was something that was expressed actually by all of you during all of the interviews for your specific projects. A lot of you noted concerns regarding just being able to coordinate the projects together, the community fatigue, and the level of outreach that we're going to be doing. And so today's meeting, the main focus, besides just kicking us off on the projects, is really to try and make sure that you all get to know one another in the room. I know that you guys are all competitors, but I really hope that you guys can all step up and kind of put that competitive level behind you, and just really, you're a member of the team for the City of Palo Alto as of today, and so we're really going to be expecting you guys all to be able to work together, and and hopefully we can maintain a level of professionalism as we're moving these projects forward. But I've worked with almost all of you at some point or another, in the past, and I'm not really seeing that really be a concern for us. And so again, I do want to just stress that point though, that when it comes to the community, the process for them will likely end up being the same. And so, that's something that will be really important for us to think about as we move these projects forward. All of these projects will be pretty much managed out of transportation, with the exception of the Charleston to Raspadura Road Corridor project. That'll be managed out of our Public Works Department. That'll be Holly and Matt working specifically with Jimmy and Admis. Of all the projects that are on this list, though, yours is probably going to be the most controversial, the one that probably gets the most attention. And that's just a quick point to make. All of the projects that are on these lists, all of them are, for the most part, preliminary concept plan line development. That's the first stage of how all your guys' projects were set up. It's to go through that process of identifying the alignment of the project, is to kind of figure out with the community, do you guys want bulb outs these intersections, not necessarily to design them, but to determine the level of improvement that will be happening along the corridor and at key intersections, and then take that as a presentation back towards our Planning and Transportation Commission as well as our City Council to get consensus around alignment details. And then the next level of design effort, which would be the full PS&E, will kick off thereafter. So it's really for the most part, that's why you were all selected for these specific projects, because you are, for the most part, planning transportation firms. That's the work where I think that you guys will all excel. Now, there are two that are specific PS&E though. That's Charleston to Raspadura Road, because we've gone through the plan line concept development in the past. I think you will see a level of that development again though in your contract, just to reiterate that the community gets better. There are elements that were previously determined with the community still stand, and I think again you'll find that yours will be a little bit controversial, but we can talk about that separately. And then Ron's at the Churchill El Camino project, yours is full PS&E, less alignment details, and get full civil details. So that's why you guys were brought on board. So that's kind of the flavor of the projects. But before we do anything else, I did want to just have everyone go around the room and let me know, where is the status of your contracts? I know some of them have been trickling in still, some I think were sent out today. So does everyone know, have you gotten your contracts back from our purchasing department? Maybe some of our Fair and Peers?
Yeah, must have gone out today.
So still waiting?
Yeah, still
Okay.
waiting.
Alto's still waiting too.
And Alto also.
Sandus as well.
You guys are still waiting? Man.
We have ours.
Well, you waited the longest though.
I did.
Okay, so Mark Thomas is done for sure. So we'll follow up with those today, and I'll send up an email at the end of the day to get a follow-up. You guys all signed your contracts, because those needed to be signed for council awards. It's just our signatures, and then those executed contracts will be sent back to you, right? Okay. Just to give you guys an idea, there's about a little over $2 million worth of kind of consultant work happening over the next several months through all of your individual contracts. And so there's a lot of work happening in the city, and you've got another amount of money set aside starting in July to take your guys' projects to the next phase. So the faster we can get through that preliminary concept plan process, and I think a lot of your contracts were probably We added a little bit more money up front to allow for that process to happen. A lot of community outreach. I think you'll begin to see today that a lot of that will overlap, and so we'll consolidate the amount of outreach that has to happen. So hopefully, even just on the existing contracts, we can begin the PSNE phase if we can agree with the community on the alignments for the projects themselves. I don't want to be reiterating things down, so I want to kind of just take a quick pause and see if anyone had any immediate questions as we continue forward.
On all the contracts, and I know we had sort of built in end of the day, we'll have a concept that will be potentially more short-term oriented, and then one that's perhaps longer term.
What do you mean?
In terms of like, for the preferred concept, we might have one that's something we could do more quickly, and then if there are longer term. I'm assuming that was built into all the contracts.
Yeah, that's right. So a couple of logistics items. I went ahead and I set up a Box.com account for these projects. I should have. I think all of those invitations went out to everybody. So I apologize if you all got like 10 emails from me on Thursday last week. But I was trying to do updates and everything. Can I get it to you? I'll send it to you. But the intention of that was just to allow everyone to be able to share your design concepts. I think again, this for us is a project for the city, and so I think a lot of you will see that one consultant will come up with ideas that maybe will stimulate additional thoughts on the other consultants' projects teams. And so the intention of that was for you to be able to kind of load up your PDF documents and images onto that server, and at the end of the day, when all your projects are complete, then we'll ask for whatever file formats you guys did, whether those were CAD files, Adobe, whatever it is that you developed, and ultimately we'll want the raw files. But I think from the standpoint of just being able to share PDFs will work well, and rather than everyone email blast each other, I figured we'll just do a Box account. And if you didn't get that link, just shoot me an email, and I'll add you to the Box account.
So maybe, do you want to limit the number of people accessing that account, or is it okay to have like some of the sub-consultants also participate in that?
No, that's fine. I mean, whoever's working on your project, your subs should have access to that file as well. So I mean, I ultimately just need a list of who needs to get it, and then I can just add their names onto and send them the invitation.
Okay.
The other reason we set it up is because I know some of the projects, probably more yours and maybe Ron's, we've done some preliminary work on a lot of these projects already, so we'll load up all of our city furnished data onto the Box accounts. A lot of the other projects, there hasn't been too much work done, and so you'll just be loading everything up on your own. And I also wanted to check in, I know a lot of you might have your subs or, the people from your teams that you'd want to have at these meetings, but they may not be able to come. So if there is an interest, we're happy to set up, a future kind of phone-in session. Depending on how this meeting goes and how the technical advisory committee begins to move forward, we'll talk about that shortly. I also want to talk about the option of trying to do a webcast, and then that'd be another way for your guys' partners on your teams to be able to participate in the process. And then if there is any other thoughts, I did want to ask you guys, is there another suggestion that you all had that we could bring up today as a way to be able to engage more people in the process?
I think just a webcast, some kind of G-chat or webcast, I think would be helpful for us since we have some folks remotely who are plugged in.
Yeah. G-chat good for everybody else?
I'm sorry?
G-chat?
Yeah, I think that probably works.
Yeah, I don't think Google would mind, right?
Use it for me.
Yeah, that's fine.
Bings.
Sorry, guys. Okay, so we're looking at getting that started and set up, and I guess I'll shoot up some emails to invite everyone for that move forward. Polly, do you have anything you want to bring up on your city furnished data for Charleston or Astrodero?
No, I'm thinking it's been so long. But yeah, we have it on our file, so we can load it up on Box.
Sure.
So just to be clear, aside from Charleston, Astrodero, and is it Churchill? Those are the two where there's really city data beyond what was included in our scope, like the traffic network, the traffic volumes that the city already has. But for the other projects, we shouldn't expect.
So we have a city traffic file that has our level service at about 15 intersections. Yeah, we'll share that in our folder for everybody. I guess what I meant was like where we had some level of CAD file done work or preparatory work. Yeah. We have some stuff that we've done in transportation and that our other consultants have done for that project, so we'll finish that for you. We actually had some stuff done for the Churchill project, and that was going out for an OBAG grant last year, so that's why I know that's there also. But the rest of your projects, we haven't done anything.
Okay, I just want to make
sure. I can't think of anything that we would have done.
Maybe like Ross and Oregon or something.
Yeah, that's about it. Yeah. So with that said, let's just kind of keep moving. Again, what I really wanted to do today was I wanted to begin to lock down calendar dates. Again, the community engagement will be the most difficult part of this whole process, and we're just to kind of digress from the agenda a little bit. We added onto the Fair and Peer scope the ability to be able to collect community information using your ArcGIS platform, and so that's an element that Fair and Peers will be setting up for us. And so as soon as we begin the community engagement process, the public will be able to go onto our website and provide input regarding the projects of interest directly through that website, or the ArcGIS platform that they're going to put together, and then they'll keep the information for the projects they're working on, and the rest of the raw data will be forwarded to the consultants. So I don't know, can we take a real quick, who should be the contact from each of the consultants that we get that data?
Probably Alex on our side, just because it's the easiest to know all these concerns.
And then Ron, you for Sandus, and then Jimmy or Admis? Jimmy for Charleston and Raspadero.
Yeah, it's me at Fair and Peers. So on that aspect of it, we've set it up before for similar bike boulevard projects, but since each of the different consultant teams is going to be using the output data, I was going to propose the idea that we have a little bit of coordination up front to make sure that everybody feels good about what's going to go out to the public for their process, so that we don't get to the end and feel like there was anything left out.
Well, why don't you talk about that? I mean, we liked what you guys had in your proposal. That's why we kind of added that scope to your project.
Yeah. So basically, it's using ArcGIS for server, but that the public won't ever really see that. The real purpose is that they're going to see a map with all these corridor projects on them, and they're going to have the opportunity to interact with it in a way of identifying specific issues or improvements they'd like to see along their various corridors. So there's some setup to be made in terms of making sure they have the right list or menu of things to choose from in terms of slow traffic down here, make it easier to cross there, etc. And then basically getting that out and being able to digest all of the feedback that we get through it. Want to make sure that we get all those options right and that everybody thinks it's the right direction to go before we actually launch that site. So if we had some subgroup that we kind of worked internally on, that would be really helpful for me, I think, and for everybody.
Sounds good to me. Maybe well, we're going to talk about schedules a little while. Maybe we can talk about that subcommittee group, who that needs to be.
Sure.
And definitely before we launch it, I think that we should have you guys work and kind of put some type of a map together and make sure that maybe when we meet again, we can agree that that's the right time to launch.
Okay.
So I think that's probably going to be the most critical element for us, is we want to make sure that this was a really seamless process for the community, and really felt it was appropriate to use that specific tool. I forget what tool you guys had, Casey, in your guys' proposal.
Yeah, MetroQuest.
MetroQuest, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think that let's start here. If hopefully we'll see success with it. It looked good to me through the proposal process, and if for whatever reason we need to switch gears, I guess we can make that call later. But I think for now, I think that I wanted to give you guys the opportunity for your peers to kind of show us that was a good element and tool to use, and see how that goes.
Okay. Cool.
So Jaime, I think on that, we'll be curious to kind of follow and just kind of see how we can use that tool for the Matadero project. I do see that one as kind of being a little bit of a different beast than the other ones. So I think there'll be a follow-up conversation is where do we take outreach associated with that corridor separate or distinct from.
I think we added enough scope into the Fair and Peers contract to account for all the projects that are here today. But by all means, Casey, we'll have the list project by project later on, and we'll talk about that issue.
Yeah, and I'll have to wrap my GIS people into it that really understand what is the level of effort if we need to pivot something that is really inherently different.
Right.
So it's not the same form. I can't speak to exactly what the level of effort required there is. We can talk about
Just in a nutshell, we're looking at like 5 different corridors alignments, so we don't have a street set.
Yeah,
and it's like, what do we do on the street? It's like, which of these very different corridors do we want to go on? And then there's also the involvement of the water district. They have sort of veto power, which is different than the other corridors. So
I think that's a good point. So just so everyone understands, so again, I kind of make reference to the Charleston Raspadero Road corridor being probably controversial. Actually,
I was a little offended. I was frankly a little offended because I thought we had the most.
But I have faith in you, Casey, that you'll be able to work that through. So that's why I was just worried. From the standpoint of like the people that would be concerned, the subset is a lot smaller on Matadero Creek because it's just along a few specific homes, but a lot of Charleston and Raspadero corridor, and we're talking about like hundreds of homes, and then thousands of users that ride that corridor every day. That's why I made that comment. But by no means, I was just trying to remind yours is going to be really controversial, and yours first and foremost is actually a feasibility study to begin with to identify the right.
We're behind. Yeah, that one
Yeah.
just doesn't know what it's going to be yet. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I think that one of the things when you start yours off, people will begin to see that there's other projects already kind of, working in parallel, and so they'll get to see how the water district takes that.
Back to the online EIS interface, I think one of the things that might be important is being able to take input received from other forums, public meetings, and maybe merge it into the GIS data so we have one. So I don't know if we can bring that tool to public meetings and try to keep it so we have one data set of public input.
Yeah, I mean,
that's mapped.
all you need is a web connection. You can access it through any browser. So if we have computers with web connected and we want to herd people towards that in the public outreach process, that's fine. I'm sure there's going to be lots of comment that we get outside of that process, though, that we'll have to consolidate for all the projects, I imagine.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a good point, and I think that'll also come back down to facilities as well, so I did want to talk a little bit about that today. So from the standpoint of schedules, just to kind of get some of that started, one of the things that we did want to schedule right away were the bicycle ride-alongs. And we did that before. I think, Casey, I think we did that for one of your projects, didn't we? We had a ride-along along Park Boulevard.
For the plan,
that's right.
Yeah.
And that was an extremely, positive event. It was, very well attended. We got probably a couple hundred riders, I remember, when the event happened. About at least 100. And so I'm actually thinking that might be one of the things that we're going to want to do for all of your projects. And let that be a tool that lets us consolidate the community outreach for projects. But when we did the ride-along for the plan, we kind of did it just before a city council meeting, I think it was. Or one of
Before a study session.
For a study session, and that felt kind of rushed. And we definitely want people to be able to participate in the process. And so I actually was thinking that a weekend, Saturdays and Sundays, might be the best days to do the ride-alongs. It can let students participate in the process, and I think the students will probably be very engaged within the community as part of this process. And it's something that we wanted to talk about as well, how we can get students to participate. So I just kind of wanted to start with the ride-alongs. All you had a lot of scope in your contract. I did that on purpose. I kind of padded everything, thinking that we can consolidate and then have money to get the PSNE started. But I did want to start with the ride-alongs. And have you all done those for projects you've worked on in other communities? I'm assuming so. So maybe we can start. You guys have not done one?
No.
I have not.
Yeah,
I don't think it's part of ours to do the ride-alongs in Charleston.
Well, it could be one of these things that maybe like when we're crossing like the Park Boulevard project, for example, I think a lot of people will want to know, well, what's happening with this intersection. So I would probably say it could be good for you guys to participate in the process, even if we don't organize a specific ride-along just for Charleston Raspadero Road. Any of the ride-alongs that would bisect your corridor, it would make sense for you guys at least to be there. I mean, we're happy to just, again, pass the feedback back to you, but it would be good for you just to generally hear the feedback around the community because it'll help with your design process.
No, we're certainly up for that.
And so real quick, the other thing I wanted to talk about when it comes to schedules is just the data collection process as well. A lot of you have a lot of scope for doing video-based counts. When we went through the Matadero Margarita Bicycle Boulevard development process, that was something that we got hammered on. I got hammered on by our Planning and Transportation Commission. They wanted more data. And later, the council got really upset at the commission because they say you're delaying the project, you don't need the data. But I think that in order for us to get ahead of the community concerns just during the discussion, the more data that we can have, the better. And so if it's always the city people, right? It's always the city people. Yeah.
It's Peter.
So I just want to throw that out to you. I mean, I'm eventually going to need a project schedule from all of you guys, preferably in Microsoft Project. But from the standpoint of data collection, don't delay that. I know your contracts are still coming. You might want to just think about getting those your consultant's schedule to get the counts done. Video-based counts work very well for us. It let us present bike and ped data that we would never have been able to present before, and we'll begin to establish good baselines for these projects after they've been implemented, just to be able to reference for people. And that's something that I think you're going to hear a lot of from the community, is like just to do more data. And again, from the standpoint of facilities that don't exist, it's hard to show data. But just from the standpoint of the existing use, I would encourage you all to get that data scheduled and schedule it before the end of May. We don't want to do the counts after that because school's out.
School gets out, yeah.
And you'll all find that it's those school commutes that generate the most traffic for us. And so us being able to just tell the people, hey, like 300 bicyclists that are riding to school. Imagine those 300 extra cars on the road and what that would mean for your neighborhood. And so when we've done that in the past, that was very successful for us in helping the commission and identify like what the benefit was of moving these projects forward. And some of the neighbors that were always on the fence, I think in the Bear Park neighborhood from Madrid Margarita, they saw this. Okay, well, that actually is a lot of bicyclists, more than I thought. And in some cases, you'll see that the bicycle volumes will exceed the vehicular volumes. But every project has a lot of pedestrian data as well. So that's, if you guys have another way to get it, let us know. But we just haven't been able to figure one out, or at least find a tool that's really reliable to capture good data. So all of your scopes had a week's worth of video-based data collection. You're probably all using the same subs. So you might want to just begin to contact people and let us know when you think you want to get that done. I'll put up on the Box account the Palo Alto Unified School District schedule, so you can begin to coordinate that as well.
That'd be great.
And ours is really critical.
Ours is very critical.
We passed like, what, 7 schools or something?
Last count was 11.
11, that's right, yeah, so we have
You're only
to,
4 off.
7, I didn't count private, sorry.
So and just, when it comes to data collection, I'll just throw this out to you for things to think about. One of the things that we have a lot of for Charleston Raspadero Road, and I did a lot of data collection myself, is we actually have travel time data. In this case specifically vehicular data. And some of them, it may not make sense for yours, but when you're beginning to do your field work, you might want to just think about, just time yourselves, how long does it take to ride, so that, when we're talking about a corridor, what can you put in perspective for people as well. That'd be another data set that people will want to know about.
It sense to coordinate all accounts in the same week, just so that all the data is consistent across the city.
If we can, if you want to do the same, like if we all want to work with the same contractor to do all the accounts, or do we want to get them all done in the same week?
There's just gonna be a lot to do in 1 week.
Yeah.
You have probably, I don't even know, 16, 20, something like that.
Yeah. And most of the firms, again, they don't have that much gear, I don't
They're
think,
enough
to
to
do that many.
Put out in the city at
Yeah,
once.
I'd love to do them all the same month, and I'd love to shoot to get them all done between maybe like mid-April to the latest, mid-May. That gives you like a 4-week range to kind of get some data collection done.
I wanted to suggest making sure that you're collecting the same information. And I guess if you're all doing video counts, you don't have to make that decision necessarily when you put in the videos, but so you don't have different types of information that you're comparing.
Well, you guys all got video counts as well as
We
tube
have
counts.
7-day video,
Yeah.
7-day tube, and then we have, a sort of an untold number of manual intersection.
So we don't have video counts in ours, but I can talk to our sub-consultants, see if they can accommodate that.
Are there any weeks we need to avoid, festivals or?
Like bike to work,
Yeah.
I'm wondering how
Yeah.
bike to work and
Yeah.
school fit in, whether we want to avoid that period or not.
Well, I did print out this school schedule for the district, but yeah, definitely avoid bike to work day, it would skew the data, and avoid a week that has any holiday on it. And so I think you're gonna all have at least 3 or 4 weeks where that's gonna be the case, where there isn't a conflict. And so let's start with your proposed schedules. Why don't you guys shoot me again in your Microsoft projects when you want to do your data collection for your corridors, and then what I wanted to do was consolidate all the projects together onto one Microsoft project file, and that's what be put back on Box, so you guys can all coordinate and do things live with one another. But we'll take the responsibility of consolidating your schedules onto one project file. As soon as y'all, that can be the one thing that you all email to me rather than throw on Box right away. But yeah, as great as an idea as that sounds, I'd love to be able to do it. I just don't think it's gonna be feasible. It won't be feasible. And so, with that, I did want to throw that out. I mean, when can you all be available for ride-alongs? Does any weekend work, or is there things that work better for you now? And then, I'd love to let you guys, maybe at this point, hand it over to you guys and throw out your dates that you want to do and see what your proposal for consolidating projects together. Maybe we can start with Fair and Pierce.
Yeah, I'm pretty much open except for the May 5th weekend. So in April, if we're trying to do April, May, June, kind of avoid May 5th, or late June is perfect.
Yeah. Well, anything in June will be too late because school will be out by then.
Okay, so we're trying to do
so definitely want to avoid sticking them out, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Do you have a preferred date?
No, really, Saturday and Sunday, I think if that's when we think we're gonna get the best turnout, as long as we avoid those, I don't have a preference.
Yeah, I wanted
May
to.
11th.
Say again?
Do it on May 11th.
What's May 11th?
Mother's Day.
Okay, so let's scratch stuff out. So 6 miles out, right? I guess that would be the weekend of the 4th and the 5th.
I get it. Fourth weekend is,
And what did you say? April?
Memorial Day weekend.
11.
When was Labor Day?
This is Memorial Day,
How about the 17th?
so this weekend might be kind of dicey. Yeah, what about right here?
Well, I think this one you're out of school, so
No,
if December
okay.
to right on the 17th, that's okay.
Yeah, that works.
May off.
I think the 10th, well, the day before Mother's Day, I think that might still be on the table at least.
Yeah.
why was the third, oh, Cinco de Mayo? No, wait.
Cinco de Mayo, yeah.
What was the 11th off? That's
Mother's Day.
Mother's Day.
Mother's Day.
Okay.
When was,
Do you have any holidays in April?
The 20th.
Easter. Your fingers on Easter.
What is
Son's
that?
birthday.
20th.
20th.
You know, he goes to church now, we're gonna go to church.
Easter egg.
Okay, so that begins to kind of narrow down for you then. So those are your weeks for, you got the week of the 6th, 13th. Yeah, I think that if you, what was this again?
Easter.
6 is too, I mean, we can't, that's next week.
Yeah, that's next.
Next weekend.
For data collection, I mean,
Is doing it in May just kind of a part of the whole bike month thing, kind of a good vibe to be sending?
I would think, and I would think it,
Bicycles.
we're gonna need a few weeks to get materials ready, get communications. It
that's
seems
fine.
like, yeah.
I mean, if we do ride-alongs and all in May, I mean, you begin to limit down the days that work for
Yeah.
you, though, that's the trick. So I'd say if you can start to get some, the 19th,
Maybe that
26th,
last weekend.
that would be really good for anybody that wants to book those dates.
And we're thinking a Saturday is probably the most likely.
I'm thinking so. I think people with church on Sundays, and then the farmers market's on Sunday, right? Yeah, I actually want to throw it out to us too, is that we might want to talk about getting a booth at the farmers market as part of the community outreach. I actually wanted to ask, if you guys are all open to it, it'd be nice to have maybe Alto handle a booth one weekend on a Sunday, and then Baron Pierce can handle a different Sunday, and then we can be at all of them. But that'll we'll get comments on all the projects, even those that are on yours. But it's a good way just to educate the community regarding the projects that happen. That farmers market is super popular, and so I think that'd be a good way to get some feedback. And actually, even for Charleston and Restadero, that'd be a really good event for people to.
What date is it?
That could be a specific project. Well, it's
It's
just on
every
Sundays. It's
Sunday.
every Sunday.
Every Sunday.
You just gotta pick a Sunday that you want to be there. I'm assuming the Mother's Day is probably out.
Are we doing ride-alongs for multiple corridors
Yeah.
at one time, or are we doing,
Yeah.
how many ride-alongs do you envision total?
I want to leave that up to you guys. Again, those are for you guys to solicit feedback. So I would imagine that for Alto, you probably want to do like Homer Channing and me and Bryant at the same time.
Yeah. We can do Ross and Greer together or something
Yeah,
like that.
makes a lot of sense. I mean, I'll let you guys decide the grouping. And again, I think for you guys might want to just attend any of the ones that bisect your project. Ron, I don't think we need one specifically for Churchill because you're straight in design, but I mean, all the other ones, it makes a lot of sense to consolidate. Barron Park, that could just be one all by
Yeah,
itself.
I think that's so.
And do we want to make sure that we only have one of these on a day? I mean, I think with it,
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense. And I would also suggest that if we kick them off, we might want to have them be in groups. And so maybe you have one group that kind of starts and leaves one location at like 10 o'clock in the morning or 11, and then another one that leaves a half an hour later, so in case people show up a little late, they don't miss an opportunity to participate in the process. I mean, the group sizes will vary, but that's a good way to get it done. Keep the groups more manageable.
yeah, I mean, I think we have to go back and think about the logistics and details, but I was thinking that, you can kind of have two flavors of ride-alongs. One, it's a little more informal, you're just kind of riding together. One where you actually have folks stationed at some key locations with information prepared, and then you can do sort of waves, and there's, they're there to kind of make their presentation as those different folks come through.
I mean, that's how we did it for the plan right along that we did. And we basically just stopped.
We stopped.
You or I spoke
Yeah.
about each project at that location, an area of interest. But it makes a lot of sense. It'd be good to have
Somebody
just a
stationed
station,
there.
and then that person's responsible for collecting data and talking about the concerns for people. It's depending how you guys want to do it on yours at Parent Pierce. That'd be fine with us.
Yeah, I like the idea of kind of doing the stations, and you could have kind of people check in, check in at all 4 stations along the way, or all 5. But at the same time, I think from a staffing perspective, it might be just a little easier to do kind of more traditional leader stop the group along the way.
That's why I think it might be good for one of the shorter corridors where, we can do that, but where you have really long places to cover, I think you can't staff
Yeah,
too
yeah.
many folks.
Yeah, so I err on I think we're both talking about the same type, where it's just a little more traditional audit type.
Yeah, I mean, I can see maybe one more complicated corridor where we might want to have somebody stationed to really kind of go through the concepts. The bike boulevards that are, more traditional, not much going on, it's residential neighborhoods, we can kind of all stop and hear each other.
Yeah.
That's probably one where you can just handle it all in a group.
Yeah, that's good.
One of the things that I think was a little bit of a challenge when we had the ride along before was that, some of the intersections, because they're so wide and large, and just having everyone kind of stop at the same location can be an issue, but then just hearing each other can be an issue. And so, one of the things that we did after our ride along last time was we bought one of those little microphones, little speaker that you can put on your belt.
Nice.
And that might be something that, I'll have to see if we can dig it up or not, but that might be something you want to bring as part of your logistics planning for these events. Just think about that.
So we can start a list of things we might want or need, and then whether you have them, we have them, or
Yeah.
need to get them.
I think all of you had like 2 or 3 ride-alongs planned for almost every project. Again, I'm thinking that you're probably only going to need one. And so with that said, I think you guys got extra scopes. If staffing's an issue, I think there's budget for all of you to be able to have staff at key locations if we want to do that. If we end up with just one ride-along, instead of 2 or 3 like we had originally planned, that's going to be okay with us. But as long as that's a successful ride-along, then that's all that matters from our standpoint. And then you get the data you need.
On the farmer's market side, would you guys have a table and tent, all that's already prepared, we just need to show up and bring material?
No, I don't know that we don't have a table every weekend, but when we have that stuff, so we have the ability to just ask for a table, and then we have the tents, so we can plan that on our end.
Okay.
We just need you guys to show up with whatever materials you'd want to have.
So it seems like for the Charleston Arrestadero corridor, all the intersections that we're concerned about are ones that Fair and Pierce are working on?
It's actually Mark Thomas.
No, Mark Thomas, so we don't
The
actually.
interface.
The interface.
You're in
for the-
green, so yeah, they're all,
Yeah.
you end at the Charleston Restaurant or you
So
might.
it seems like we could have, like, Matt can do the ride-along and even just passing information back to you guys, because I know we don't have it in scope, or if it ends up being, a bunch of them on one day, you guys can come.
I guess we can work at Fair and Pierce.
Sorry.
Actually, we'll say that the,
A couple of Google ones.
the Google ones Alma, we'll need to coordinate a bit, and then actually, it's not on this map, but the dotted line that connects Ross and our Google scope, we'll have to talk about a bit more, but I'm thinking that the Lewis, Charleston intersection is something we'll have to
Oh,
coordinate.
yeah, I missed that one. Hold on a second, Lewis.
That's the Montrose.
Actually, that's where I need to check with Google. We did talk about the Google project going beyond Middlefield. That was never discussed, but
Okay.
I'm open to it as long as Google funds it. And so with that said, there are a couple of areas where I did see when I put this map together, like, oh darn, we should probably try and get this link done. And one of the ones that I wanted to throw out, depending on how the scope is going, for Fair and Pierce, I'm thinking about having you guys do Meadow between El Camino Way, out to Bryant. And that would be a really good one. So let's just gonna keep that in the back of the books for now and see if we can bring that scope in a little later as part of the planning process. I saw the same one, Casey. If we did, Ross connected the what we're called the Covenant Center project, I think that would be good, but it's really up to Google. But for Fair and Pierce, you guys do the Bryant Boulevard extension, but the extension never really included much of the San Antonio Road Avenue intersection, which is kind of ending there.
Yeah.
And so for Google, I kind of added that scope in, knowing that that's the Google campus entry. I think you guys might want to add a little bit more area there. So that was never part of your scope, but they kind of end at the same location. It's a good comment. Yeah.
And that location just has like some relatively recent improvements, right? Kind of like finishing up from the median project.
We made
Still
some
like a very-
improvements.
I think it was pedestrian crossing.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's just pedestrian oriented stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but again, when that design process kicks off, we'll figure that out. So real quick, before we get to the TAC, so I would ask you, does anyone want to book a weekend now? And then we can try and make the logistics work for it later. So this is your first shot to book it. Plus, I want to plan my weekends for the next few months myself.
10th and the 17th look really nice, but I mean,
For you guys? For May?
for me, yeah, I mean, I'm on, I guess I'll steal them both if they,
Are you gun shy? Well,
Yeah.
you got these. I mean, we could do ride-alongs the same weekends.
Can we split the mornings and the afternoons?
That might be more logistically, I mean, because otherwise we're gonna miss the
Yeah, that's a
window,
good-
right?
good Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the when we did the bike plan ride along, that was, we were trying to squeeze it in 30 minutes or something, or like 45 minutes. And
Yeah.
I think we might have a little more time.
I feel pretty good about covering all of our stuff in 2 afternoons. And I know that we're probably gonna have a lot of people who wanna participate throughout all of them.
Yeah.
Charlie, can I book you for the 26th?
Yeah,
just
that's
now?
fine. That's
I just-
fine.
I want to get you on there.
26th is fine, the 19th is just like a little bit early.
Too early?
Yeah, a little.
Yeah, the 24th, I think, begins to push it out, but we might want to think about reserving that day too.
Okay. So maybe that's like our, if we can't get it 24th.
Give you a turnout, what'd you get?
Yeah.
So you don't think you could do one as early as the 19th? It's too fast.
Okay.
You think you could or no?
I think it's pretty tight. I mean, it's effectively our before start date, so 3 weeks, no stuff public.
That's Easter weekend too, so.
Let's be out of town.
We'll do Easter
Yeah,
egg
this
hunts on
is-
that
Oh,
day.
yeah, that's true.
It's
Yeah,
Easter week.
yeah, that's right. Well, that's it then. So we'll aim for those
I
days.
think we're needing at least
Um,
3.
Just that I don't want to try and logistically plan some of this out while we're all here. So for you, to start with you, Charlie. So for the 29th, what quarter would you want to start with, just so we get
For
an
the
idea?
26th?
26.
I think I'd like to talk about doing Bryant Street Extension the same day as Bryant Street Update, just so
Makes
that,
sense.
to make that a unified message. So I think that I'd want to start with Stanford Park and Wilkie, kind of all in one group. And then handle the rest on the other day.
So the Barron Park,
Yeah.
that can almost be a focused day.
Yeah.
And then that would actually let you break up the input for the Charleston and Raspadero quarter as well.
Yeah.
Or in this case, the Raspadero piece.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. And then what about you, Casey? What's your thought?
And I'm thinking, well, we're gonna need probably at least 3. We were thinking we would do the Homer, Channing, and Bryant together, but if, probably still would do that. Probably just need to coordinate on
Sure.
sort of how long that event
Would go
is.
with that.
Probably be a long event for those who wanna do the whole thing. And then we would do Moreno, Amarillo, Greer, probably Ross all together.
Moreno, Amarillo,
Can we
Greer and Ross?
Greer and Ross. And then I think we're gonna need at least one more to do Matadero separate. That's gotta be its own, it's probably a walk-along, frankly.
Yeah.
And then there's the Google corridors.
Can we split Bryant into north and south and do the south with the Google corridors?
That's probably better.
Bryant's too long.
Bryant is, it's a really long ride.
What did you say, Josh?
Split Bryant into north and south and do the south with the Google corridors.
It's fine. I mean, I kind of saw value in just doing a long extension, but you know, for a lot of people, that is a long ride.
And if they have to just circle back.
Then they got to circle back.
Yeah.
So I mean, I could go either way. I mean, maybe it's from the standpoint of logistics. You know, that's enough to get us started. And when you put your calendars together, you know, then just think about how you want to break it up.
Yeah, I mean, I think Bryant Street Extension is just, it's more naturally talked about in the context of those other projects, so I want to defer to you guys and do it when it makes the most sense for you.
Well, I think the southern end, it's more of an area than,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that needs to be
Okay.
a focus of one.
And there's really, in the middle, there's really not much going on. I mean, it's really, the hotspots are, because that way we can focus on Bryant in the mix of Homer, Channing.
Yep.
You know, and I'll just throw this out again. A lot of you have 2 or 3 ride-alongs planned in your budget, and we're bringing that down. You know, I could actually see you just even being at the update, Charlie, just so you hear what all the discussion, the feedback is, even though you may not be leading any specific input, you know, because then you'll understand the context in which people are making comments, so that you might not get someone that wants to be at the beginning meeting because they go to the second and vice versa.
Yeah. Well, especially if we end up doing like combined, you know, if we do their projects in the morning and ours in the afternoon, it's really easy because I'm going to be here anyway.
You know, let's talk about that best. I mean, I see that as being a little complicated. I mean, why don't you guys think one in the morning and one in the afternoon? I almost want to say it should just be one each day.
You might get some flack for that.
Yeah, if we book them out.
For people not
So we have
wanting
what-
to-
we have
Well,
one,
they
two,
lose their whole
three.
day.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just gonna ask, how long are these ride-alongs? I know they're based on, you know, where you go, but typically,
I would probably block out around 2 to 3 hours.
2 to 3 hours, I would say.
3 hours max. You know, I'm thinking like either, you could actually go 10 to 1 or 11 to 2, either way, but I can't imagine going more than 3 hours.
so you have like a mean, I've never been to one, so. You
We have a meet point.
start place,
We have a start place.
and then you kind of go and stop along to talk about different, okay.
That's right, yeah. And so just as a quick reminder, you know, thinking of these dates, and we'll finalize it hopefully over the next week, is you're all responsible for developing the graphics material for those events themselves. And so, you know, I don't know, if you don't mind putting on, I'll create a folder on the Box account for like, just like public
Yeah,
outreach
that's
materials.
true.
You guys did a really nice flyer, Casey, when we did the ride-along for the plan, and I think we did Park, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that might be something just to look at as a model. I mean, you guys do whatever you want on your marketing
Yeah.
side. You guys all have a good expertise in that side, but that was a good one, I thought. And so,
So Matt just pointed out that the third and fourth weekend, that's just not good for me, but there's no reason that if you guys wanna take that weekend, there's no reason that you can't.
third or fourth weekend of April or May?
May
May.
3rd, 4th.
May 3rd and 4th.
Oh. Why did we scratch that off?
Because he
Oh,
said.
okay, so I said I wasn't available the third.
Oh, but those are still good days.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think you're not
Actually,
available.
yeah,
You are.
they're great days.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you know,
So yeah, if we do 26 and you guys are able to do the third, and then we can kind of talk about 10th and 17th being kind of the cleanup days for the stuff that we can.
There with them.
Yeah, we do one with them.
You did Matt Darrow on the 3rd.
So if we do one with you for Bryant, but we also cover Google, does that mean you're doing 3 now? Because you need to cover Park and you need to cover Barron Park, or you can do all that? at once?
Barron Park will be all one of its own.
Yeah.
Stanford Park and Wilkie will all be one.
And
And
then
then
so
I'll
three.
do Bryant whenever
So
you
you have
guys
3,
in
and
the
then,
south ones.
so we'll have 1, 2, 3. So we have 6 total, not including Matadero Creek, as I see it.
one. Okay, so let me check out my maps for a second. You're gonna do Barron Park all together,
Yep.
and then what's your other one, Charlie?
The Stanford Ave, Park Boulevard, Wilkie Way corridors.
Stanford, Park, Wilkie, okay.
And then it sounds like
We're gonna
we'll
do
the
the
Bryant
south.
extension with all the projects in the south area.
Yeah.
So you have a third
Basically
Yeah.
south of
With the
Matadero.
stuff.
with all the Google stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
That might be good to get like Coverly.
The cover, oh yeah, you want them all together, yeah, I agree. And you actually, some of them don't make sense for ride-along, like, you're not gonna ride your bikes along San Antonio Road, right? I mean,
No.
you're
That's
probably
what
gonna
I'm
end
saying.
at,
Or if you do a
Sounds
ride,
like
if you
about-
do a ride along, and then you have a place to meet up, and then just like
Well, I
brain
think
dump.
I think you'd stop at intersections and take a look at it, but you're not gonna ride.
I think the areas which would be of interest along San Antonio would like be what's happening at the crossing at Charleston. If that's already been designed, that's actually gonna get resurfaced this summer. And so there won't be much to talk about from the standpoint of Charleston crossing San Antonio.
Done deal.
And it's a done deal because you guys already resurfaced San Antonio, so from the standpoint like maybe adding more sharrows and signage, we can talk about that. But,
Yeah, I know that's like the parking is a little bit funky. It's like not that heavily utilized, but you kept it in for some reason, I'm sure.
there's other community pressure.
Yeah.
Community pressure. Okay, so the Homework Channing is gonna be one along with the Bryant extension, the Bryant redo,
Yeah.
so that's 4. And then you can do one for Greer, Moreno,
And
Ross. So that's 5, and then 6 would be Matadero Creek, right?
1, 2, 3,
I got 5.
5. Okay, yeah, 1, 2, 3.
5 would be Matadero Creek, 6 would be Matadero.
Correct.
Okay, so we need 6 weekends, and how many do we got booked?
4.
4. What? 5.
5 days.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there has to be an overlap on one day.
Or we push Matadero out a bit if you don't think it's critical to get it in May.
How would you do this, Casey, for Matadero Creek? Why don't you put your project schedules together for your outreach, and then see when you want to fit in Matadero Creek? I could actually be one where I see maybe we could do it at nighttime. And you probably have to have a couple of those meetings. You could maybe do one now,
And then do
in
one,
the
yeah.
evening, and then do one
yeah.
on the weekend later.
Yeah, I think, because we're so early and new.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Okay, so those are the ride-alongs. You know, I'll just throw it out. But just to kind of book the dates is, you know, if we follow the process that we did for Matadero Margarita and that Grand Piers has been following for Maybell, that seems to be a process that I thought has been working out relatively well. Again, that's where, in our first meeting, we don't really have any ideas about what to solve a problem for. The first meeting is it's a listening session, giving an opportunity for the public to express their concerns regarding safety or just operations at any of the points of the corridor or the corridor itself. And we introduced that discussion with just a general overview about what bicycle boulevards are, what are some typical types of treatments that you would normally see. And for Maybell and for Madre Margarita, we kind of focused the proposals back to things that we were kind of trying to push people towards. And so we didn't do things like, say, roundabouts or traffic circles because we didn't think they were really going to fit in some of those areas, so we didn't introduce them. But one of the things that's also in all of your guys' scopes is to develop a presentation regarding kind of best practices. And I think that for Maybell, for the Madera Creek Trail, that's going to be a really critical one when it comes to the crossing locations along the corridor. But you all have to form some type of a presentation. I think before we schedule the community meetings, I wanted to use this forum, hopefully with the tag, but just to talk about, just let everyone kind of see the presentations. And it could be that we pick and pull the pieces that are best out of everyone's presentations, that maybe talk about having one presentation that's kind of unified for everyone, if that's not too offensive to all of you. I think that, again, you all do great jobs on your presentations, but again, there's a little bit of value in this being, a seamless process back to the community. So I'll ask, is there any dates that you guys want to book for just general community meetings, just to kind of get things on the calendar? And I think at that point it makes a lot of sense also to consolidate the groups together.
Is there a day of the week?
Rebecca, do we have dates for the Maybell community meeting yet?
No, yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about, but we can toward the end of you.
Just pick a day now. And then we'll make the logistics work on the meeting.
In March.
So are we not gonna wanna have any
Thinking 22 or
traffic
24.
counts before these meetings?
I think for the first meeting, the data isn't as critical, Holly, because the first meeting is more about
29?
just presenting the projects. The second meeting, I think, is when the data presentation is a little more critical because you're also proposing some solutions in response to those concerns.
So we talked about the breakdown Casey mentioned of 6 different bike ride-along areas. Are we going to try to mimic those same clusters for the public outreach processes as well?
I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, the ones that make sense are definitely like Barron Park. You guys are gonna have just one all by yourself, right? And then, for the Nelson and San Antonio area, you're gonna have that same, the Penny Ellison and the interest group is gonna be really interested in what happens in that specific area. And then in Midtown, Moreno, Greer, Amarillo, I could actually see that overlapping with Madera Creek if you haven't focused.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna do that sort of Midtown area, which you can pull in all those bike boulevards, and then at some point, we're gonna flip and do something in the Ventura Cal neighborhood, because we're also looking at the undercrossing feasibility.
Yeah. But like Homer Chaney, that's pretty straightforward. That's just gonna be like a downtown meeting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more interested in kind of like working with, I haven't met anybody from like the chamber yet, and I'm really curious to kind of meet them and make sure that they're not gonna hate what we're doing, or at least make sure that they feel like they're involved in like the early end.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So maybe think about maybe like all different people on your team. Maybe we'll keep kind of going down the agenda. Think about the days you think you want to book for community meetings. The reason why I'm asking is because we need to plan the logistics of the facility for you. And so the more dates we can kind of begin to lock down today, if things need to slip a day or two, we can let you know.
Is there a certain day of the week that you like or avoid?
Well, definitely avoid Mondays because of council, right?
Yeah. Tuesday, Thursday.
Even Wednesdays, PTC meets the first and third Wednesdays of the month. And so avoid that Wednesday also, but they've been canceling a lot. But I would say avoid Mondays and Wednesdays. Tuesdays and Thursdays definitely work best.
First and third.
Perfect. Has everyone signed this? I'll pass it out to you.
No,
Everyone
not
signed?
yet.
All right, put your.
How did you
Okay, so we'll get back to the dates. So can I switch gears on TAC really quick? So the TAC was our attempt, when we were working with Bicycle Boulevards RFP, was our attempt to try and give you guys a daytime forum for all of you to come together. This in essence to me was kind of what the start of the TAC would be about. But we'd have people here that you're really presenting things to, using them as a soundboard, as about ideas and concepts, and then having you all can also be in the audience to hear other consultants' presentations, so that again we can pick and pull the things that work the best. And This, it could be that we don't have a physical TAC that has a committee represented by anybody. This could be the TAC, and that would be okay. But we thought the TAC might have some value in that you get some people from our bicycle advisory committee, you get some people maybe from Stanford and a couple of other sites. The council, when they approved the Palo Alto Bicycle Boulevard's contracts, it has just approved the idea of the formation of the TAC. But other than making phone calls to a few people that I kind of had picked at Google and Stanford, we haven't really kind of made out, as far as locking down who the people are. Payback's been talking about this for the past couple of months and just waiting for a formal request to sign someone. They may do that as early as tomorrow. And then the other committee was the City School Traffic Safety Committee. Now getting together today is a little difficult, but I think that there was a bit of genuine understanding that payback meetings alone wouldn't be enough of a forum, to get you guys that type of feedback. So do you like the idea of the TAP? I'll just throw it out to you.
Yeah, I think with all the coordination that needs to happen, we need to be sitting down every month and making sure we're on top of it.
Especially when we get into the details of signing and striping and being consistent with, a lot of options we will have.
Does that coincide with these dates that you have in the consultant team meetings?
That's right, yeah. That's right.
And these are sit-down meetings like this that we would get together on these dates?
Or
I think for the most, these are all the last.
Or conference.
Yeah.
all in.
These are all for the most part the last Monday of the month. With the exception of, I think it was April, which I think is a Thursday or something like that. One of these was a different day. The 22nd, May. That was a holiday. It's a holiday. So let me ask the question a different way. Did you think the TAC in this forum works, or would you all prefer to have the interest group? Meaning someone from Stanford, a couple of payback people. Do you like that setup better, or do you like it like this? I guess it's a whole new concept, so there's no right or wrong answer.
I think we're gonna have stuff to present out at future TACs, and I think it's have like a first line of like, now we're gonna fly. Yeah, here's the issues you need to focus on.
Okay, so then we'll go with what about you, for you guys, Grant Pierce?
I mean, I can see the positive of it both ways in terms of getting that first screening of feedback from that group. At the same time, I think there's also maybe a little bit more openness of just consultant and city team and not having to worry about putting something out there that's going to get either rejected or generate a lot of steam behind it.
Yeah. Could we split the meeting so that the first half of the meeting, the full TAC is there, and then, or one way or the other, only half the time is with the full group, and the other half is just the consultants?
We can do it that way. We could form the TAC, again for like an hour meeting, and then we can break them off. That's fine if you guys.
Yeah, I think it depends on who you're bringing in. If it's like Stanford, I wouldn't be that. They'll keep it closed door if they have. Versus folks who really need to be brought up to speed on an issue. I think the other thing too is bringing in folks who don't need to be educated too much on some of the details. If I don't want to be held back from talking about the very technical items.
Yeah.
There's a logistic involved, right? If you're bringing other folks in, would there need to be a public dissemination or notice at those meetings being held? Is this all kind of on a project
committee? It's just a technical group for us.
That's a good strategy too. If it wasn't going to be every time we met, but we wanted to have a few key moments where we brought in sort of like the first audience.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the way we do it. Is we don't necessarily say we're going to have that group at every meeting.
Yeah.
But we put that group on reserve, maybe, and at each of our meetings we decide at the next meeting we're going to have something to show that group that would be meaningful.
I think we need to let them plan for something though. We can't have them on call all the time. So I kind of like the idea of maybe we just reserve them every other month.
Yeah.
And that way they don't maybe no more than 4 or 5 times through the whole year. That way you all have your session platform. We don't have to record these at all. We don't have to use this video today. It was just to kind of get us started for the TAC. But if we'd rather have them not be videoed, that's another way to control, any information getting out that we don't want because we're just bouncing ideas. So I'm fine with that too. So if that's the case, I'm hearing that people seem to like the idea of having to get an outside group on the TAC. So we'll get some invitations out. We'll probably ask for 2 people from Payback, and we'll ask for someone from Stanford. We invited someone from Google to participate. I think Google said they were going to try and send us someone different every month if we needed, but if it's every other month, that might work out okay. And then we wanted to have potentially someone from the Planning and Transportation Commission, just to kind of be able to offer that perspective, but probably not anyone from the City Council.
Would you consider anybody from like PTA or student association or anything like that?
The city school, that's the other group. We've already talked to city school.
Okay.
And it could be at the city school, depending on what your guys' topics are, they would send a different person, someone that is a little more focused in South Palo Alto versus someone more focused in North Palo Alto. So when we talk about the TAC and what's happening, that's, I think we have to plan for what's on the agenda. Okay, and so we'll get those out, and then I'll copy everyone on the invitations when they're released. I'll put them on the box forward. So, what's your thought on when we get them here for the first time? You thinking May? Maybe June, so that you guys have time to do data collection? They don't necessarily have to have been here for the first community meetings.
Yeah, I mean, in June, if we're meeting on the 30th, we'll have already gone through a significant, if not all of our sort of first public meetings, right?
Right.
That can be a good thing in terms of just, okay, what did that all mean? How do we move forward? And they will have presumably actually gone to those events or ones that they care about.
I'm fine with June.
And this would be for all the projects?
Yeah, yeah, they'll leave you here yours. They'll be your mounting board.
Yeah, because I guess from the standpoint of our scope, we were looking at some specific community meetings.
Right.
And just a few general community
More
meetings.
stakeholder type meetings.
Some more stakeholder type, and then some specific study sessions with the city school and that type of thing. So I think we need to really understand, our process is gonna be a little bit different. You know, while it's good data, good information, good feedback, I don't know if it'll be in the right context, you know, for the Charleston Rasadero
You
project.
definitely don't have to have your guys participate in the TAC. And your contracts were set up way before
Right.
we even had this concept of the TAC even being needed. I do think that the TAC will be a benefit for you, you know, just even from the standpoint of letting everyone else here in the room give you guys some thoughts on your project.
Yeah, and I'm not opposed to, you know, participating in that. I just think that, you know, to operate within the context of our budgets and what we thought about earlier, we can flex this.
Right.
You know, certainly we can work more together to flex this and make it more.
You make a good point though, because
Seamless.
like the TAC was not meant to replace your community meetings, because it's,
Right.
you know, especially if we're gonna try to keep them controlled and we're not advertising it, then, especially if we're not recording it, then, you know, it's not intended to replace your outreach process in the community.
Right.
It's just to give you that opportunity to be able to try and coordinate presentations.
Added information.
And that's really the intention of it. So if it's not appropriate for Charleston Rasadero Road, then I think that's probably gonna be okay.
Yeah.
I think even if it's just presented on the months where it's everyone here, you'll get a lot of good feedback on the development of your project.
Yeah, no, it sounds like a good idea. I mean, we could,
And I'll be attending as well.
Yeah.
I'll be
yeah,
attending.
so we can talk some more about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have a question there?
No, that's good.
But I think that I think we suggested that too in our
Yeah,
proposal. I
budget.
think it's a great idea.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just keep moving then. Community engagement. Should we talk about the GIS server already? Kind of pulling it back towards the community meetings. It is something that I wanted to throw out there. This item C here is there's a kind of a physical divide geographically regarding kind of where the project's taking place, and then kind of how we were grouping out the ride-alongs was kind of fitting that geography. But I think that we need to make sure that the community has an opportunity to know, okay, what's happening in North Palo Alto if your project is of interest, it's just in South Palo Alto. And I think that those meetings could get a dub with check-ins with the Planning Transportation Commission to kind of have a larger context. But like when we went through the plan development, that was something that the PTC and council all asked for, like they have more focused meetings in a certain area and let them chime in, you know, on projects. The South Palo Alto meeting specifically that we had to have for that. So what I wanted to do was kind of throw out the ideas as we're planning your grouped community meetings after your ride-alongs. You know, does it make sense for maybe having one of the consultants, you know, be there just to provide a little bit of context
For
regarding
all of them.
hey, you know, we're here to talk about this specific project, but we reserve kind of the last part of the meeting just to give an update, you know, on what's happening everywhere else, and just have you all be there so that, you know, you have a board somewhere else people can still give you kind of feedback, and that lets us kind of make sure that we're letting people talk about all the projects, but really focus on some in that process. Is that too much for you guys? Is it just too much in the room? What do you think?
think that'd be a lot of meetings.
It's a lot of meetings. Well, this is trying to
You're
consolidate.
attending all these meetings, correct?
I have to, yes. I'm gonna be gone, by the way, June, last part of June, first part of July, so no meetings at that time.
Except for your kickoff?
Oh,
Or, the,
June
tap?
30. No, probably the first, I take back. I'll probably be gone the first 2 weeks of July, so I should be okay for June 30. But the first 2 weeks of July, I'll probably be gone.
I mean, I think in terms of having information available for those who are interested, I wouldn't be opposed if, we gave something to parent peers and that, I don't need to be there necessarily. And then there's always the web platform.
Right, it could be some sort of a flyer or something like that,
Right.
that links back to the web platform.
Like if you have an issue, I'll take your comment back to the TAC or give it to Alta if need be, but I don't think I need to be there to answer that one question, right?
It might be helpful to have a running status report kind of for all the projects.
Yeah.
We can look at before we go to a meeting, or so we know what's going on in our
Talk
projects.
about it, yeah. I'm fine with that approach. I think that's the most efficient and respectful of each other's time. and
There's gonna be a lot of meetings.
Yeah.
A lot of meetings.
Is there still the idea of having like one set room and a rotating, like a
Yes.
consistent, whatever day of the month for?
For the community meetings.
Usually.
I think it's gonna depend when you guys are all available. That's why I'm throwing it out, is if you guys wanna begin to lock some dates down. Because from the standpoint of logistics, we have to see if rooms are even available. And we took a lot of pressure when we did the plan outreach that we could had, a kind of session here at City Council, with Chambers. I think we had one at Sherman, if I'm right. But people felt like, well, I don't live near that area, so I think it might make sense to move the meetings around as much as we can. It's based off geography. I think we're going to do that anyway. So I don't think a consistent meeting location might make sense. But for the time, we should. This could be it.
Is the intention to have the first community outreach meetings after the ride-alongs?
I don't think they have to be after. I think they could be
They can be.
happening around the same time. So I would encourage you all to begin to plan maybe a meeting sometime towards the end of April, and then maybe do as many as we can in May, because a lot of people in Palo Alto, they leave for the summer. That's just what happens. And so we've always tried to minimize the amount of outreach that takes place, specifically in July. I think if we're hitting some meetings probably by mid-June.
I find June to be the best month to get out, frankly, because May is pretty crazy, because we just kind of went through.
But school's out in June.
That's the only thing, is school's out, so people might
Is
be
it
gone.
harder to book rooms when school's out?
It's actually harder to book the
Yeah.
rooms because the people aren't around.
There's no admin staff. So we have a hard time.
So we have to book them all now. I mean, that's fine, but we have to kind of reserve the dates now and know that it will be available.
Yeah, I was just thinking if we had every Thursday in June, there's going to be a meeting on this project, and then it just kind of rows around the city. And then we staff it based on where it is in terms of the focus. But maybe it is that that Alta comes to one meeting that's focused in the Barron Park neighborhood, but it's open to all the projects. And then when it's our focus area, we staff it up, and maybe someone from Barron Pierce comes. But I think keeping a consistency to the overall program, I think would be well received by the public. If they miss one Thursday, they can catch another one. Kind of thing.
I'm fine with that concept. If you guys want to do all June meetings, I still think there's value of holding at least 1 or 2 sometime in May. So I'll just throw that out.
I want to do mine in May, because I'm gone in June.
Okay.
So I'm sure Matt doesn't want me ditching out on the first meeting.
I saw his body language already.
But the other thing is that you do them all on Thursday, then someone will say, well, I wanted to come, but I can never come on Thursday.
Well, I mean,
It'll be
whatever, if we kind of say, here's the
Tuesday,
program
Thursday.
for the month, and then.
Yeah.
I guess I'm a little apprehensive of trying to do a generalized program that goes to each of the neighborhoods and trying to speak to all the projects at the same time. I just think we're gonna get a lot of really focused input when we're in their neighborhood on their project. And I'm afraid that when we go out to the other ones, that message is gonna I think we should take input on all projects and say, by the way, in addition to Barron Park, we're also looking at all these, so if you wanna make a comment, here's your opportunity. But I think it really needs to have that focus on each individual cluster.
I think that could be addressed in the PowerPoint materials, if it's a common PowerPoint, there's a couple of slides that share all of the project details.
Just the
and then
context
There's a couple
of
of
where-
boards that make the rotation
Yep,
to all of
yep,
those
yep.
meetings, that it's go to station 3, and that's where you can provide, there's a citywide map, and
Yeah, and all the meetings have been the same so far. You know, we start with presentation. There's always a breakout, so you're all going to want breakouts. You know, at your community meetings, and then we pull everyone back together at the end with the closer slides, and that's when the context can put together the overall program. So that's another way to go too.
As far as advertising, though, it's going to be much easier to advertise 6 meetings all at once than to have separate materials for each of the meetings and to have them, have them on different timelines. And
The other value will be having a laptop there that people can put in their comments really because of the archives.
So if we started in, if we just plucked off 6 Tuesdays and Thursdays in late May and early June, what does that look like? If we do like the,
starting at the 20th.
yeah.
Just want the first 6, trying to keep within school, or?
Yeah, that gives.
Probably not the day after Memorial Day, or do you want? Yeah.
Is that spring break? When's spring break for you guys?
It's right now.
Oh, it is? Okay. Oh, yeah, I'm off by a month, sorry. Too many calendars up.
So June.
Yeah, because Jimmy, we're gonna wanna have.
Not
two.
27th, but
27th doesn't work.
A lot of people take that whole week off.
I think you'll be better off dividing them. I think it makes.
They've kind of already divided themselves.
So we need
I
to
don't know when
sit
the
down
last
and
day of
talk.
school is too, but usually the last week of
Yeah.
school is
What dates work for you
School is out on the
guys?
29th. Off, that's the last
It's
day.
the last.
29th.
29th, May 29th.
Oh.
So
So this
I
whole week
think
is
we do
usually
June meetings. I
bad.
think we all know it'll just be it'll be after school's out. After you had your ride-alongs. I think that's okay.
6 of them now?
I think it's okay. So I just want to hold at least one sometime before that, and I think you guys might have your Charles and Rashidero meetings just before all this.
And then the 10th and the 12th?
So how about we do no more than one in a week though? So if we could do the 3rd or Thursday, the 5th, then the following week, say do one week on a Tuesday, do another one on a Thursday the following week. That way they're kind of staggered. Because I don't want to go to 2 meetings in one month, one week. So I would be a counselor already.
Bridge
It
Council
will
and
be in
Commission.
July.
Huh?
It'll be in July.
Well, I think you just scratch July off.
Yeah.
Use
Yeah.
July as your month to take that community feedback and develop concepts.
Develop a plan.
Yeah.
You start on the 13th of May, you might be able to get.
Yeah, we want 6 different weeks.
I was just to play this out in my head. I was just thinking 1 week. For us, it'd be a good, just solid push. If you have a week, you gotta get things done, and then when you're promoting it, you're saying we're gonna be here on Tuesday and here on Thursday.
I don't think it'd be. I think it's too much for the community if we try to have 3 meetings a week though, Casey. It's just too much. I think you need to limit it to 1 because there's always going to be something else going on that week.
Okay.
Not just the community.
And then there's the other meetings that there's PTC or.
So would it be bad if
Okay.
we had Charleston on a Tuesday and Arrestadero on Thursday, same week?
I think that would be okay.
It's 2 groups.
How does May 13th?
You just want to do it all in May.
13th and 15th.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, I'm just trying
what
to
I
think
would-
about what we'll have done to be able to show, because we're going to go through the data collection.
Right, but
First.
I'm thinking this is kind of their opportunity, we haven't done anything in Charleston
For quite a
in
while.
years.
So just to
This
get
is
their
like
input.
Just their input, air their grievances on some other stuff, just so we can say we came to you before we've done
Anything.
no work, since the last project.
Right.
Good idea.
So it's just more of an introduction.
Yeah,
So you
get
think
their
13th
feedback.
and 15th for you guys?
I don't know,
We'll
you
have
guys
to,
are
we'll
gonna have
have
to
to
check your
check with
schedules, yeah.
with the subs,
Yeah, the
with David
subs,
Gates, and but yeah, we'll note down those dates. 13th, 15th, 20.
Or even,
and
yeah, this
20 and 22nd.
Can you guys for Charleston? Can you do the 15th, the Thursday, and the 20th? And that way, if we want to keep the 22nd open, it could be maybe we're moving it somewhere else to the north. That's where we do a downtown north type project.
Okay.
Did you say 15th and 20th?
So do the 15th of the Thursday for Charleston, and then the 20th also. See, and if you want to hold it on the 22nd, that Thursday, then that's where I would say, Casey, maybe that's when you do your downtown north project. Your Homer Channing, because you're geographically dividing it in different locations. Or it could be, for fair peers, it could be your Stanford Avenue and Park Wilkie.
I'm sorry, I was kind of looking at other dates. Can you repeat kind of what was going on here on the 22nd?
22nd is open.
I think that might be a good downtown north type project area. Even for you on, that could be a good project for Churchill. You want to take the 22nd?
Yeah, let's pencil in tentatively.
That would be good because you'll still have, Pally around.
15th and 20th looks good for me, so
That's probably more important.
Setting
Yeah,
yourself up for a four night week.
See, if it does take a
Third,
while.
22nd
third
doesn't
Wednesday.
look
so-
But 22nd does look good.
Let's just put the calendar.
Yeah, yeah, and then it's just, I'm worried about having enough time to collect the data and then
It's
actually
and.
produce information that people are gonna be
Keep
new.
in mind that the first meeting, I mean, it's good if we have the data, but the first meeting is not about trying to solve a problem. It's really letting people air out their concerns.
So you see it really as almost similar to the ride-along in that it's a listening session more so than anything else. It's not us presenting our initial concepts.
You know,
It's a listening meeting.
All right.
You know, but if you have the data, I'd say wing it. You know, if you can have the data formatted in that time,
We had
have it
some
with
data.
you. But I'm just thinking of how it's worked with all the other projects. What I saw that was not successful is when we kind of came with a project and, you know, if they didn't participate in the ride along, yeah, then we kind of showed a concept. People are like, well, hey, why are you having this meeting? You know, you already came up with an idea what you want to do, and you're not being genuine in the opportunity for me to provide my public comment.
Plus,
And so
we gotta
I would
vet
not.
that information through you guys
Yeah.
first, right, before it goes to the public, so you need to definitely make sure there's time for you to look at it,
Right.
It
so
seemed
we're
like
not giving you a surprise.
Yeah, it seemed like they have the right level of detail, at least for the Maybell project, for that first workshop, was to show photos or ideas of what could be possible along the corridor, and so you do need to do that level of analysis of like, you know, you don't want to show closures or
Right.
traffic circles if they're not going to be feasible. So that was sort of the level that we showed on that, and that seemed to go.
So I mean, at least lead to that, you have to have done your aerial maps and have those kind of scaled images available for people to kind of print on. That was very successful for Mayville, is that people said, oh, this is my house, I know exactly where you're at now, and they're able to reference things back to that perspective. So again, for June, you know, if you do a Tuesday one week, then I would say don't do a Thursday meeting that same night, you know, I would say jump into the following.
3 and 12 or 5 and 10?
So who wants the 22nd? Is that you, Ron?
Yeah, we'll take this 1 second.
The 22nd?
Yeah, that works.
So that'll be Churchill, Sandus.
And I'll take either June 3rd or 5th.
Whichever one you want, then the next person the following week has to have the opposite day.
Actually, June 3rd's payback.
Okay, so then let's do Thursday.
It's fine.
the 5th.
And we'll take the
We'll take
10th.
the 10th.
What?
Payback.
On which one?
Palo Alto bicycle.
So the 10th will be,
That'll be
I know,
the
it's-
Google,
it's-
that'll be the south
okay.
area.
Can you put that for all three? Can you put South Google? Yeah. Alright. So then the following week would be a Thursday on the 19th.
19th, we'll take that one.
Who is it?
Yeah, I'll take that.
Which means that we take.
How about we break them up? So how about the 19th? The 19th? How about then we move back to Barron Park, and then you can have all your Barron Park neighborhoods.
Yeah,
And then the 24th, then you can have the 24th, Casey.
all right, that's fine. So that 4th. Okay, so the 5th is basically Stanford Park and Wilkie on the 5th, right? And then we'll be joining Alta at the Tuesday, the 10th workshop for the South area for Brian. And then we'll be back on the 19th for Barron Park.
Barron Park.
That's fine.
And we need one more.
You need one more.
You do it 24.
So double up 1 week. When do you want to do Matadero? You need for Matadero, right?
So we do the 24th?
Did you say the 24th or?
Say again?
Did you say the 24th was Alta?
Yeah, that's what you said, right?
The 10th and the 24th.
Yeah, we need one more after that, that's what I'm saying.
So I'll just throw this out for you, Casey, but, you know, because Matadero Creek Trail is kind of unique in itself, you may want to consider just having one,
The downtown?
you know, sometime in earlier part of May. Just because they're getting kind of anxious, they know this project is coming, you know, I don't know if I want to make them wait too long. Because again, you know, you haven't done anything with it, they're asking.
Or is that
I'm trying to figure that out right now.
downtown, midtown? Yes.
I mean, to be honest with you, I'd actually want to maybe flip the south and,
So you want to do Alta Google South on the 24th?
I just think that there's more public input need on the other ones.
Why don't you just put Alta, then you guys,
We'll figure it out.
you'll figure it out.
And then we'll look for one earlier, so it looks like
So for you, Ron, you know,
29th? Is that
you don't have to wait either. You might want to think about something in April or May, just to have, you don't have to wait that long, because you don't
It's
need
the
to
last
have
day
your
of
ride
school.
along.
Okay.
And then, you know, Alto could even use the 22nd if we wanted.
Well, I'm actually thinking you might have two. You might have I mean, you're doing survey work, right?
We are.
You're doing survey work.
Yeah.
So you could do a meeting sometime towards the end of April, just to have that kind of general discussion about, hey, what do you guys kind of want to see, you know, in your area? And then, you know, you could just have scaled aerials to kind of draw stuff up. And I can tell you now, they're going to want that right turn. So that's the biggest thing. I want the right turn.
I want the right turn.
So maybe before just think about a date you want to book sometime in April or May, early May.
Okay. So we'll take the 22nd then?
You can have 22nd. Well, actually, no, wait, you're doing 2, right? Actually, take it back. What do you want? If you do early May, then you don't need the 22nd.
We could do like the 8th. I mean, I think the 8th would work.
Okay.
That gives us a little over a month.
All right, that's fine.
We can be ready for that.
And then, so now you got the 22nd, Casey.
Do you have any
I
plans?
printed these over lunch,
for
that was great,
these
right?
2 months, huh?
Huh?
That's a lot of night meetings for you.
That's it. You guys good on the Fair and Pierce side?
Yeah, we'll just need to get clarity from Casey and his crew when they want to do the south area, if they flip it from the 10th to the 24th. So just make sure you let us know so that we can.
Do you want to flip it now, Casey, just so we know? Because I mean, the more that information you guys have, kind of walking out the room, the better you can start planning.
Let's keep it,
schedules.
it actually fits better with their schedule.
now too, so.
And then we'll kind of book in it, yeah.
So you're doing the south on the 10th?
Yeah, we'll keep it.
So April's your guys' data collection month, you know, so just, you know, maybe with that said, you know, I'll set up a Microsoft project schedule and once you guys send everything in, but I'm actually thinking that April's really gonna be your data collection month. So I'm just curious, who are you all using?
Is it NDS, ATD?
Who?
Oh, NDS.
NDS. How about you?
Using Marks.
Using, okay, so I'm gonna write the, okay. Fair and Peers is NDS.
Yep.
Or TJ Camp. I
And
don't know if
then
they have some for data.
Sandus, you're using who?
It's Marks. Traffic.
Yeah, I think
Marks?
so. If there's more time then.
And then, have you guys found someone yet at Alto?
Probably TDS.
They're the ones that did art video for Matador
Yeah.
Margarita. They're usually my choice.
Great.
Ron's good too, though, Sandus.
I'll have
And,
to find out from TJ Camp who they're gonna use.
Okay.
Just put TJ Camp.
Okay, but they won't be doing the data collection.
They won't be doing it, they probably have a subconsultant
Sub,
on board,
yeah.
I just don't know who it is.
So just so you all know, from the standpoint of video, there's 2 quality companies. There's a quality traffic data service. Those are the guys in LA. They suck, you know. And I'll say that on video. You know.
Who is that? Who is it?
The guys from Southern California. But then there's another company called, I think it's called Quality Counts. It's
Quality
based in
Counts.
Oregon.
We've used them before, I think.
And I know they do video based, but I've never seen their work. So
We've used quality counts.
Quality
Henry,
Counts.
can you just explain to me what's the benefit of the video counts? It just
Well, there's no other way to capture like bikes and peds all day long because they're not heavy enough to hit the 2 counter.
Okay.
And the pedestrians themselves just can't be counted that way. So I mean, other than doing just like peak hour counts, I really don't think that's going to be enough for you guys. I think you're going to have to be able to tell people why the projects are important. And actually, that reminds me, there's one very important thing I forgot to stress at all these meetings. You know, it's like the community doesn't see this as a bike project; they see it as a bike ped project. And at every meeting we've had, they've always said, "Don't forget about the peds; it's just as important as the bicycle." And so you just make sure your presentations are focused around it as well. Don't make it about just the bicycle.
So can I ask you, kind of elevating up a little bit on that one, have you thought about maybe rebranding as something different than Bicycle Boulevards? Alto's known for working in communities and doing the neighborhood greenways, because it gets away from the modal specific language. Could be something we continue to discuss, I don't know.
I mean, what do you guys think? Well, what do you guys think of Fran Pierce?
I don't know, I kind of look at it, I think it's 6 to 1, half dozen the other. You know, it's, in the end, we're going to design the same features out of it, and I see the marketing benefit, but at the same time, if there's a strong community sentiment for having done Bryant Street to begin with and calling it a bike boulevard and a lot of pride around that, especially with the payback, I tend to not want to change it.
I personally guess I wouldn't want to change it. I think that other than Matador Creek Trail, that has potential to be a true type of a greenway.
Right, so
Yeah.
more of like the Beta Ridge corridors are really more of the greenways.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the
Yeah, that makes
community
sense.
might. I can see the community kind of saying, hey, they're like trying to like somehow morph this around. And they already said that about Charleston and Raspadero. You know, there were some media articles that said like, oh, you know, they're trying to like get it past the community by not even calling it, you know, the Charleston and Raspadero. They call it a bike boulevard now. And so it is what it is, and I think it's what we want. And so I think that's what we should just call it. Yeah. But I would say that it's a good way to brand it, though. I mean, we've done the bike Palo Alto type kind of logo in the past, and that might be something we want to continue to use for all of our branding of the program. And so, if you guys are okay with that, I'd probably say let's stick with that. Are you familiar with that, Fair and Peers? You know, we had if you look at our when we did the bicycle plan, on the cover of the bicycle plan, there's a logo that we're using at all of our community meetings. It was a circle, it's a kind of like bike on top, Palo Alto with the spike in the middle.
And that's what you included like on all the Bryant Street signs, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So I was just stick with that brand.
Okay.
Do you ever get those medallions or the pavement markers?
You know, I got the permission from the California Bicycle Advisory Committee, and I got held up when I went to, I guess at the FHWA level. They wanted more. I said, "Oh, screw these guys. If I'm gonna do it, I'm just gonna do it." And I think that in this case with payback, I think we'll have to be experimental. I would say keep that in your tool, and if we need to launch it as a test as part of this process, let's do that.
I think it would be in the circles area.
Yeah, I guess that'd be very efficient in the circles area, more than just the Sharrow itself. There seems to be a little bit of pushback from some areas about the greenback Sharrows. You know, I think paybacks can begin to warm up to them, but you know, I think at this point, anything you see in NACTO, anything you guys have done in past practice, anything you think would just be a good idea that's outside of NACTO, you know, don't take anything off your list for now, except for road closures. I think road closures, I think something we're probably not going to want. It's still within our comprehensive plan as an element that we don't want any more of. But again, everything is site-specific, project-specific. If that's something that we need to do, then that it just complicates the level of a traffic analysis that you'll need to do because we'll have to show what the impact is. But I would say that'd be the only thing I would probably ask everyone. Is like we probably don't want to do closures if we don't need to. Yeah. Fair enough. You're the Alto guy that ever wore a tie, by the way. The only Alto guy that ever wore a tie.
I was in city government for 10 years. I just got all for that.
All right.
We'll train you, don't worry.
So let me ask this then. So if I end up booking these meetings for the farmers markets, you know, can we book some dates right now where people can attend farmers markets events just so you can begin to plan your staffing levels? Would you guys want to start the farmers markets processes sometime in May so you can have more time to kind of pull stuff together? So maybe like every other Sunday at the farmers market, or every Sunday in May, with the exception of Mother's Day, that's what it's focused for?
I think that's great with the.
We'll staff it. Well, I mean, we'll have plenty of staff. We'll figure it out.
So you were available the 4th. So maybe maybe you take Sunday the 4th. Here, so this will be Alto.
How are you? Were you going to do that?
I
So,
don't know.
farmers market. So then,
It's fine.
That's Mother's Day.
That's Mother's Day.
It's Mother's Day.
Well, people still go to the farmer's market.
let me ask you guys. You guys
their
get a lot of
mothers.
people.
It'll be
You
a bunch
guys-
of dads.
Are you guys okay with Mother's Day?
The Mother's Day one?
Are you guys, I mean, there'll be a lot of people at farmers market.
No, I'm fine with it. It's fine for me.
Dad's buying flowers.
So then you guys will take that.
Get a booth next to
A
the
lot
bar.
discussed that about
The
the
18th.
relationship with my mom. So I just realized that.
And then the 25th.
I think probably those three to help promote the all the other meetings, and then
And then we can see after. I mean, we don't have to plan everything out for the whole project now. I
Right,
want to
yeah.
just get the first like quarter of work documented so we can have it on the calendar.
and then when's bike to work day down here?
Yeah, so the 8th.
The 8th, right?
If you guys give us like flyers, you know,
Like to work on that day. And
it's something we should talk about. Like, you know, if anyone wants to just have a general like project description of the corridor, you know, then that's the thing we just hand out bike to work days.
That's what I'm saying. We have to have something that we give to the stations to hand out.
Yeah. In this case, I would say one for everything though, rather than have just like one for Alto versus one for Fair Peers. I mean, you know, if also you guys are handling the web stuff, can you guys put just a quick flyer together on your side also?
Yeah.
For just a general description of all the projects? And then we could have those for the other, for Bike to Work Day.
And we'll say we'll have that, prepared in sometime in April, but I certainly, for the 8th is like the kickoff. There's no other meetings before that besides the,
Farmers
oh, the
market on the
26th.
4th.
Yes, right, so.
The Bike to Work Day here is pretty popular, and I think we're expecting a little bit more people this time than I think last year, because we gave away those I Buy Palo Alto shirts, and we're doing it again, and so I think more people, hey, I wanted that shirt, so I think people are gonna go out of their way to come here. Yeah.
I can't get rid of my t-shirts like fast enough. I feel like I'm related. Sorry. I mean, I'll take one.
All right, so real quick, let's just jump on. Let's talk about the project description. So again, for the very first thing you're all going to need to do is develop your aerials. And those are some of the things that we have for Charleston Rescue, the scale aerials and cover that we've already done.
You've already covered that.
We have some of them, not all of them, but we'll give you what we got. That will be the first thing you all need to plan for is developing those. I think you guys did it for Maybell, and I thought it worked out really well. But I don't think any of the other others have that. Now, I think in some of the contracts, maybe more for Matadero Creek Trail than others, we talked about having like scale type CAD work done. I don't think you need that at the plan line concept stage. Yeah, again, that's why we were trying to pad a lot of the contracts up front.
That was the question. I mean, we have a lot of survey built in.
You have a lot of survey. I don't think you're gonna need it at this early stage. If
You want to dive in once we have a better sense of where we're going to dial it in.
If you all can work off good scaled aerials that you can develop yourselves, then you don't need the survey now. You know, but
Just use Google Earth.
just use Google Earth. That's what I would be doing.
I think Matadero, we talked about that being a bit different though, wanting to
you
get
need a
the
Matadero.
creek corridor nailed.
Yeah, you
Because
do.
that's going to be a key for our feasibility.
Right. So yeah, I think everybody else can work off skilled areas, but of course you, Ron, you're in PS&E, so you should just do your survey now.
And then for one of the Google going through Coverly, should we get that in surveyed? I mean, or do we have as-built for that campus? Or I mean, that's a little
I
funky.
don't know. I have to ask.
Facility.
They do. So for Coverly, the question is CAD files, right?
Yeah, just because it's a major off-street section, right? So.
Yeah, we'll ask that.
And then if you guys have done a resurfacing recently, assumed you'll have some CAD base? No?
So unfortunately, our city resurfacing program doesn't create CAD files for specific projects. We're too busy. So we're very limited in that case.
Okay.
We're limited in that.
But you know when it's been done.
Yes. we
But like I got Parker already.
Yeah.
I'll just keep working on Parker. So can you talk a little about the resurfacing program, Holly? And then let them know kind of what you're planning? Just in general, yeah.
Okay, well, it doesn't necessarily tie into all these projects. So I'm in charge of the resurfacing and sidewalk program here at the city. Matt's really involved in the street resurfacing portion. We have a 5-year plan that's on our website. And basically our goal is to improve our PCI to an average of 85 by 2019. So yes, so it doesn't really always coincide with Jaime's bicycle and pedestrian projects because we have our own mission. And it also, not only a goal of 85 for average, it's no street under 60, which I think is more of the issue because we have a lot of old streets in Palo Alto. So right now our 5-year plan is online. We plan on updating it every year. We typically have multiple contracts every year. Right now we're getting ready to go out for preventive maintenance. So we have, what is it, $1 million?
Yeah, so like Miller Avenue, we were hoping to put in our upcoming presented maintenance at the tip of the Park Boulevard one. That's constructing in July, August, so I don't know if we'll be able to put that in or not. Same with part of Bryant Street in North Palo Alto. And like Laguna, we're hoping to pave this in late fall, and Los Robles next spring. So we can work with you guys to see if our timeframes are realistic or if we can
Right.
push it.
So what's the right mechanism there? Do you guys wanna like let us know when the drop dead deadline is by which you need input as to whether or not you're doing something different out there? Or can you kind of identify those now, or?
So I can shoot you guys an email with kind of the streets I see on here. With
Yeah, what's
Put it
on
on
your
box.
year,
Put it on
yeah.
box.
And I'll
Yeah.
let you know when we want to go out to bid with those. And
Okay.
Go from there.
Some of them are grant, I know Laguna is grant funded, so there's, we don't have a bunch of wiggle room. But most of the time, we're flexible. We work with Jaime on a lot of our preventive maintenance streets to make sure that we get the striping in, sometimes last minute.
Yeah, I'll just throw this out though too, yeah, no, exactly. But just so you guys know, it's like, we don't have to wait for the whole project to kind of be signed off at the council level to begin to implement phases of it. So for example, if there's a corridor like Miller, where we're probably gonna end up with Sharrows, and there's a couple of key crossing locations where we might need some type of a traffic calming element to address community concerns, we just need to know that that will be a Sharrow facility. We can definitely recommend those types of things even at an early meeting, and as long as there's not a lot of opposition towards it during the meeting, then let's let Holly and Matt know now. Let's get that piece in right away. Let's not wait for it. And that's kind of what we did for Cowper. At Cowper, I knocked on people's doors, say, hey, what do you guys think about doing this improvement? And as long as the neighbors were okay with it, we did it.
Right.
And it worked out really well for us. So I mean, we have to be a little bit reactive on our side, but let's not wait until everything is done. Matt, your margarita has been implemented in about 4 different phases, some of it happening in this specific season. So just think about those little types of things that we know we want to do right away, and let's just get them in with the research that we coordinate.
Yeah, with the preventive project, we like to implement what we can. Sometimes we push off projects, like we've pushed off Greer for a couple years. We don't want to push it off anymore because it's going to turn into an overlay.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of thing. There's only so much we can hold off on, and then it becomes too expensive for us to maintain. We don't want to go that far.
At least for me, for Greer might be one of those ones where I don't think it has to be as complicated. Even at the first meeting, maybe the first meeting we're actually proposing some kind of concept plan lines, and if people are okay with those things, maybe
that was the bad idea.
Huh?
That's
Well,
just
for
case by
some of the
case
simple,
basis.
for some of the little areas, for some of the areas,
But really, you're talking about slurry seals, crack seals, slurry seals. that
Yeah,
type
those
of
are
thing.
cheap, but then we have an overlay. So basically, our
The overlays will be the
More
more
the
critical
overlays.
ones.
yeah, and we control most of Jaime's projects don't get involved in the overlay because there's some condition streets in town.
the biggest thing case is like if we need to get rid of like a bike lane that's substandard, for example, those are things we want to identify right away. And just at least at anything, not delay their project, but just agree with the community, hey, we're not going to put the bike lane back.
Right.
And that gives you time to figure out what you're going to do. That level of coordination.
So is Greer one of those this summer?
It's not. We pushed
It
it off
wasn't
again.
There's nothing
Yeah.
in Charleston.
No,
No.
I'm sure it's going to be part of the project.
Yeah.
And then for your overlay projects, do you guys do like a base repair report?
A report?
Or like, will we have a sense of sort of what the heavy lifting will be underneath?
Oh, yeah, we can
To
give
help
you.
us scope out bulbs or anything like that?
Right, we have cross sections typically in our database. Is that what you meant for the pavement cross sections?
With my Seattle days, we would have like a base repair report, so I know where there's like concrete repair happening before you do the overlay.
We don't have
It's
too
part of
many
the same
of those,
project, it's part of the
yeah.
same, go out and mark it out, fix whatever curbs and gutters.
Okay.
Yeah, and our overlay, we do a lot of, most of,
Mostly
20% of the
Yeah.
project is concrete.
Okay.
It's raining, this is a good time to do your survey, right? If it's ponding now.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a large
Surveyors
project,
don't like
yeah.
rain.
Yeah.
So synergies, again, we want to know, you're all working with other agencies besides Palo Alto, so if you know if there's an opportunity to try and coordinate your project with somebody else, I mean, this would be a good time to call it out. So for the Google projects, if you guys have some plans with Mountain View for the campus already, let's try and combine them together. For Charleston, we know that Mountain View already contacted us. They want to resurface their portion of Charleston to get bike lanes in from the Palo Alto border down to Costco. So that's why we want to take advantage of their project and try and get the bike lanes in from Fabian all the way into Costco.
So we were gonna talk.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that after. But I think beyond those two, I think everything else is kind of our border, but we might want to think about with the Bike Boulevard redo on Bryant, maybe there's a need to have a discussion with Mountain View.
Is the city involved in the GBI project?
What is that?
That's the Grand Boulevard Initiative with Alto.
We haven't really been too involved. I mean, we go to we
They
have a
were talking
representative that
about
goes to
you-
the
they were talking
meetings.
about you last week.
Yeah.
So,
nice things.
Oh, yeah, good things about,
You know, our community reality isn't as bad as most of the cities, I think, so I don't think that's why we
You
get
have the
much
highest bike
attention.
counts on El Camino Real.
Say again?
yeah, you got the
You have the highest
highest
bike
bike
counts
counts.
Yeah. Well, just because the VTA is holding a community meeting for the Grand Boulevard Initiative, I'm sorry, the bus rapid transit
Yeah.
program and
Yes.
the Caltrain double tracking,
Yes.
I think next week, on the 9th. I just found that out today. Okay, so any other comments on the projects? I mean, I wanted this to be an opportunity for us to give you any thoughts or areas of concern that we just know right away regarding your projects. So for for Homer Channing, I think that as of right now, in my mind, it's an open book regarding whatever the proposals are going to be. So obviously, the issue will be any parking loss,
Parking.
and so that'll be the big concern. I would probably
Also,
say.
we need to focus, that's the one project, or at least the main one, that we need to focus on some coordination with BTA and on transit service as well.
Yeah. But I would probably say that, at least for Homer Channing, I want to say that we need to look at extending the concept flow bike lane at least an extra block, or trying to figure out that issue regarding, right now, if you're coming out of the Homer Tunnel,
yeah.
you got to go south the block, and nobody does, everyone goes straight.
Payback hated that idea though, right?
Well, but Payback doesn't make the call. I mean,
Okay.
we have to make a proposal that makes sense. And having everyone ride their bike a block away where they aren't doing it, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, unless High can go two-way.
Can I go two-way?
Why don't you talk about High?
There's a lot of opposition to that from the community and businesses also,
Yeah.
because High is,
Deliveries.
it's constantly, there's delivery trucks turning into one lane essentially.
Every report, yeah.
So is that not gonna, that's on our contract right now?
No,
But that's,
Well, we can.
I think you just do it.
Put it back one way.
Put it back one way.
Yeah.
I think for you, I think the best thing will be concept flow going an extra block.
it's just the driveways of the Whole Foods.
I
and
know,
that's-
I know that's a concern, but
And-
you guys are gonna get creative on the
Yeah,
solution.
yeah.
The other part though is that we probably don't want, at least Homer, going down to one lane, at least from Waverly West. I think that would be a huge community opposition. So I would think, as you're thinking of concepts, and that'll be a few months from now, is I think that there needs to be a couple more concepts that are focused around maintaining the two-lane traffic. You can do, I think, where you do like the right turn lane, that you guys already thought of, but I think we just have 2 lanes, at least on Homer. And on Channing, if it needs to go down to 1 to make things work better, I think that we should keep that on the books, but at least along that frontage of Whole Foods and the portion of the key downtown in front of the park, I think it's gonna make a lot of sense to keep the 2 lanes. Just
Okay,
thought
a
about it.
question, this came up on this quarter, it'll be important, I'm sure others as well. How is fire and emergency access gonna be looped in on reviewing of these, or would they be another potential TAC member that we wanna pull in at a special time to?
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, but I thought, to be honest with you, but I mean, that sounds like a good strategy.
We're gonna, because I mean, certainly I'm not like, do we need 20 feet here all the time? Can you handle
Yeah.
some traffic circles here?
As long as the
And it
mounts, I
kind
think
of-
it'll be okay.
And it kind of depends on who in fire you get, because some of them are really,
That's the art of you guys, pulling them in the right.
Well, the other part too is if the community's liking something in a concept and the city council's hearing that, I think that if
More
it's just fire that
average.
says, well, we don't want to circle, I
Burning
don't think they're
baby.
gonna get their way. I think that we're gonna lean towards the best design, and then fire will have to accommodate their need. So then we keep going down the list. So for park, I think you guys have done we've already done a lot of the historical traffic calming measures, at least on the northern portion. But to the south, I think it should just be an open book, but everything you guys think will make sense. But I will say that we need to consider that connection with James. And so that might be another area where we need to look at potentially increasing your guys' scope on the Fair and Pure side, is looking at that connection on James, between El Camino Way down to Wilkie. So we'll have to kind of keep that in mind. Maybe after this whole schedule thing is laid out, I might ask you guys all to revisit your budgets, and figure out, can we move some of the community meeting budgets out towards another scope, and for Fair and Pure, I think I'll probably add that onto your scope list. For Wilkie, I think we talked about Miller potentially already being the area where there might be a need for some traffic calming measures. On the Bryant and the Circles piece, I think that those things are super wide streets, right? So it'll be interesting to see what the community will go for. But just in general, along the whole Barron Park neighborhood itself, I think that that'll be a really interesting meeting process because that whole neighborhood is very rural in nature. And I think that that's something that the older Barron Park residents have wanted and liked, but a lot of the newer people that have moved in have really expressed concern regarding the lack of sidewalk facilities in those areas. So what I've always done is if anyone in Barron Park tells me they want more sidewalks, I say, they go talk to your neighborhood association first and you guys work it out internally. And when you guys are all ready to come and make a change, then pull this in. But that's how I kind of script that issue.
Doug Moran is the big guy.
Doug Moran, yeah. San Antonio Ave.
Lieberman.
I really think that you guys have to have a coordinated meeting between just that, what is that neighborhood group called that Peggy lives in? Green Acres, is that what it's called?
Green
Meadows?
Green Meadows.
Green Meadows. I almost want to say that you guys have to really think about just going to one of their community meetings. You guys are just to have a focused meeting.
Yeah, we have it on our list.
And in general for Charleston Rossendale Road, do you guys have to think about this old state work holder state group and maybe reforming them? I know Penny's asked, some of the other people have too. Maybe if you just meet with them once to introduce them to your consultants, that might be a really good idea for you guys. And then what level of involvement they have for the design process, you guys can work that with them. But I think if you don't meet with them soon,
Is
I
that
think they're gonna
Green
get really
Acres,
mad.
Adobe Meadows?
I don't know who was on that list. It was all before my time. I mean, for Rossendale, it was a smaller focused working group of it.
Yeah, we can try, I mean, we know Penny was involved with those, so we can.
Penny can help pull that group back together.
Green Meadow, Walnut Grove. That was one of the stakeholder neighborhoods. Whatever suggestion you have.
Yeah.
Let's just meet with Penny and get that group together. But you got Penny's number, I'm gonna just call her and ask her.
Okay.
If you need me to do it, let me know and help. Moreno, Amarillo, Greer, I'm not really seeing it as a really complicated project. I think that's kind of straightforward.
No, I think a lot of it will be potentially tying that into the creek trail.
Yeah, Ross, the same thing. I don't see it as a very complicated project. Again, the biggest one is the creek trail.
I think Ross will be interesting depending on how much you want us to look at the northern terminus. Connecting over to California, getting around the campus, getting through the campus.
I think you need to just kind of give people different options. I think that we've told people that we're not saying that we're going to go through the school, but we definitely want to look at that opportunity. And so it could be at the plan line concept stage, and you'll have to have some kind of concept of what that could be, visuals. To
Well, we had so when we did our school walk audit, we were looking at a middle field cycle track just to get up there. And I think you said hold off, and I didn't know if that was because you were anticipating this process or if you had some kind of something you didn't like about it.
I don't remember why.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember. I think the other is like, do you go east or do you go west? I mean, it's depending if you're going to the north. Because you can either go down towards Middlefield if you go west, or if you go right, you go out.
That's what I say. I mean, that's the only that's the easily the most complicated piece of that.
But I think we need to have an option where we do somehow show something go through the campus. I mean, just so people can say no to it.
Yeah.
How about any other major concepts you guys want to bring up? I think everything at Charleston Rossendale Road is going to be a huge design. I will say this, I did get a call from Caltrain. Caltrain did tell me that they're going to do a project to raise the tracks at Charleston. And if that's the case, that might affect Meadow also, but we also want to do quad gates at the Charleston intersection, almost kind of immediately, I think, or along the whole corridor. So we told, hey, that we have a process kind of happening now, so they may participate in it. And it could be that we help kind of wrap up the community outreach and design pieces, but then they will actually build that intersection.
So can you give us who the contact is, Trent you talk to?
Yeah. You have a question, Casey?
Just a couple pieces I wanted to potentially throw in here that I think about is on Ross, just the extension to Coverly via Mayview.
This one here?
No, there's a small one. I think that'll be a pretty logical kind of, I mean, it's a pretty short piece, so it's not a big add-on for us, but
I'm fine with this. So, after everyone kind of updates their schedule and their budget, if we want to add that piece in, I would be okay with that.
okay. And then the other would be looking at just how to get from Greer to Newell Bridge, and then ultimately the overpass in East Palo Alto. Yeah.
That's not probably not a
Probably
rush.
Palo Alto that.
It's probably not a rush.
Okay, it's logical to kind of think it through.
Yeah.
two out of the way.
Do you guys have any questions on Charleston Rescue while it's here?
I think we're just excited to get going, get some coordination going.
How about you, Rod?
No, not right now. Together a schedule and get that over to you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let me switch gears then to grants. So the ATP call for projects just recently went out. I don't know that we're going to be ready for any of these specific projects because we haven't done any kind of community outreach work to get anything started. So I don't know if there was an opportunity to get an immediate thing going, but I just want to throw out maybe to get some ideas from you guys.
Build off
We've
the
been
ones that you've
steep
already
in
done
ATP in
for
terms
Charleston
of,
Rescue.
so Josh, he's kind of the man on ATP. I mean, there's the call for projects for MTC, which will come out, I think, in August.
I didn't.
Well, there's two
I
different
think it's- I
ones.
think
There's
it's
the
earlier,
MTC
yeah.
one,
Earlier in
and
July.
then there's
July,
the
yeah.
state.
And then I know there's a November call now too for projects in the outlying year, 16, 17.
Well, so the current ATP is the state ATP,
State.
and then the MTC
It's gonna
call
come
will
out.
come out in whatever is
July,
August.
it sounds like.
But whatever if you were to submit anything now, if the state level would not be funded, it would be reconsidered automatically when the local MTC one comes out. I can't think of anything.
Well, we're definitely funded challenged, right? Charleston, Rescue. Is there anything we could use that has already been developed and tried?
For Charleston Rescue, I think there might be, but we wouldn't have had any of that kind of secret work done. I almost want to say it's too early. Except for maybe the schoolscape piece, the piece that's on a Raspadero, the Verbs grant. We've already got $1 million grant. You haven't scoped anything else, so I don't know how you'd get it.
Yeah, is Mabel in that same boat that?
I think maybe, depending how your next meeting goes, we might be able to go after something. So if there's, depending how we move money around, that might be one where we could have you guys do a grant for. We had two internal grants that two projects we were kind of thinking about going after. One was a citywide accessible pedestrian signal upgrade and microwave bicycle detectors. So citywide, we were going to think about submitting a grant to do APS scripts at all of our existing signals, and then ask for microwave detectors for all of our signals as well for the bike side. So that way, that's one thing we're throwing out as a concept, but that could be a grant that we just do internally. That was the second one. I don't remember what it was. I'm trying to blank. Any other ideas?
Bike share?
You're on the list though.
I mean, just the challenge that I'm seeing internally is that all the cities, since the call for projects just caught a lot of them off guard, they're all asking consultants to do the applications. So I've seen at least 3 RFPs in the past week that are, 1 week turnaround where they want someone to do their grant apps for them.
Right.
So that's the challenge that I'm seeing externally.
If they ask you for specific types of projects, what projects they're asking for?
Safe routes to school.
Safe routes to school. That's the other one we're gonna do, safe routes to school.
Yeah. One was safe routes to school. The others have just been general. We know that we want to apply for something.
Give us a
Help us out.
And do it
tell us
in a
what
week.
is, yeah.
Yeah, so for us, it was gonna be a safe routes to school media. We're gonna ask for
Yeah.
someone to come in and just do all the brand new videos for us.
Good programmatic here.
Yeah, programmatic here, yeah. Okay. Okay, so real quick, for all of you that are interested, we are gonna have Steve Clark here next week on Wednesday. We're gonna do a ride along with him. I think we're gonna start in South Palo Alto near the Wilkie Way Bridge and then ride up. So for, actually for both Alta and for Fair and Pierce, since we're gonna go running the whole way, you guys might wanna consider sending someone just to participate and hear his thoughts and then see his general discussion later that evening regarding his thoughts about the boulevard. And so then the last item here was all the upcoming meetings, I guess, for this specific group. So just kind of put these on your calendar. And with that, I wanted to leave it open for an open session. I got to run to the restroom, so I'm going to let Raphael take it over.
How open do you want it? Just spell Agnes's name. Not Ad must, it's Ad mass.
The only outstanding thing that I had was forming some subgroup around developing the RJS server survey. So I don't know, maybe is that you, Alex? Okay, and then however much Ron and Jimmy, you guys want to participate, okay.
I'm just not that familiar with
That's
the
fine.
GIS thing, so, I'll be happy to look at it and give you my thoughts. Matt knows where I'm at, so. We
Are we
get a
getting
copy of
aerials from
this.
city?
I'm sorry.
Are we getting like recent aerials from city, or is that something we're, yeah, what do you guys have for that?
Do the 2013.
No, yeah.
2013?
Notice.
Yeah,
They were told
so
about
the one
the
just
notice
popped
of-
in the system,
Yeah,
yeah.
they just hide it on
They're available, yeah.
Yeah, that would be great for Charleston. Because we weren't doing any.
I'm not sure how to get it. I mean,
Work.
I know they're available, but with all the,
We'll figure it
with all
out.
the
Yeah.
GIS, the points.
Talk to Dave, he's done there.
They don't like you.
I'll talk to them. We'll be done.
Do you guys, want to set, like, so for the plan, we set north as.
The way it's been done, yeah, if we might as well not
Okay.
change it.
What was that?
Can you send out like the -15 or whatever that magic number is?
We're using fake
You know
north.
what I mean? The
Yeah.
original-
Let me know north, south.
Sure.
I mean,
I'll have
I-
somebody do
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Comparison.
Exactly.
I think it's more the public keeping the maps the same.
Yeah, if you guys come out the other way, because I've
One or
seen
two
both.
degrees, yeah.
Almost north, south.
So I wanted to ask you guys after Pierce, like, what do you need right away to get your ArcGIS system set up? Because I don't know, do you have our city
I don't-
GIS files already, or what do you need?
I'll check and see what our GIS library has in it already. We probably have a lot of stuff from Mabel, but I can talk to your GIS person.
Yeah, it may be helpful to have a GIS contact to coordinate that.
Usually what we do is we just ask if we can download everything, we copy it all over, and it saves your GIS people a ton of time in dealing with one at a time requests.
So, you know, whenever I need a GIS file, I've always gone to Casey, because you guys did our GIS work for the plan itself. And I found that you guys kind of pulled that together. You know, I'm wondering if maybe whatever you got, Casey, if you could just check in with your GIS group, maybe just kind of get that data over to Fair Piers on Box right away.
Okay.
And then you look at that, and then tell me what else you think you need.
Okay.
Because I've found it very difficult to coordinate with that GIS group, you know, and get data that I want. And so I'd rather start with what I know we got already, and then, you know, fill it in the hole later.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, what we don't have, I think, is a really solid, it's the utility data that will be, you know.
Well, it'll be on Box. If they upload it
So
to Box.
the-
you'll
If they
be able
upload
to
Box,
get
we
it.
can pull
The
it down.
GIS platform that Fred Pierce is going to do is also available for the Charleston or Australia Road project, right?
Yeah, all the packets, yeah. We got them all in there.
So for the meeting that we're gonna have on the 15th and the 20th, then you will be up and running by that time?
What I was told, I talked to my GS person before today, was that 2 months is ideal, but minimum time is like 4 weeks. So 4 weeks to get it set up, but then whatever internal reckoning we have to do to get all the menu items settled, that's what adds on to that
Okay.
for 4 weeks.
Can those discussions happen kind of concurrently? Like, have you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I'll just throw it out, but, you know, Google's in the room. We got maps we need. Who else would you ask?
Different building. I
We
wish.
don't have to list it all.
So I am curious, I just wanted to ask, so like for all the aerial maps that we need together for all your projects, I'm just curious, how do each of you plan to do it? Because, I mean, when I've done my mapping work for like my own projects, stuff I do here or outside of the city, I literally have to go to Google, stitch my drawings together in Adobe Photoshop and just create my own file, because if Google ever changes the aerial, then, you know, you may have things that come out of alignment in the future later. So having the stitched aerials seemed to be a good way to make sure that I always got the right file as I left it in the future. But I know that with Ron, you mentioned that you guys use a different kind of aerial link, but if maybe some
Yeah, there's
aerials.
USGS has quad maps, and they're more easily scalable. It's not always quite as high resolution, but we found them to be easier to work with.
And we were gonna do field surveys, so because there's too much of a tree canopy that we can't see.
For the mini meters, you have to have aerials, though. You have to have that.
Well, yeah, but we would just use Google or something like that.
But you guys.
I mean, I can't say they've been super consistent, but to try and get the best quality, the most recent aerials, I stitched together Googles.
It's the same thing I do, yeah.
But for this scale, I don't know if that'll be. I mean, we can make it work. But
It all
I
depends
think,
what the resolution, comes out to be.
and I think that the issue of tree canopy is going to be an interesting one. because
Yeah.
it's pretty substantial on many of these corridors.
That's what makes, when you have the Google aerials, is making those curb lines work. You have to match it up with field work, right, to like draw things where you can't see underneath the trees.
Yeah, that's typically what we do, but it's not to the gnat's eyebrow, it's just good enough for just a public view, of it, and it's accurate enough for that context. But typically, we've gone in and just kind of superposed and drawn lines where we can connect the dots on either side as close as we can.
So I'll just throw it out, but I don't know if it helps you, but I guess we could ask Google if they could make available for us, just a stitch of the city of Palo Alto to a zippable file that we could throw on box, and then you all would have the same drawing, and we might save you guys some time. Is that something you think that we could get from Google? Could you ask?
It would be something Gerald would have to ask, because it's the
pretty
geo
large.
department, not the transportation department,
Mhm.
so it's not the division he works within. But he used to work for geo, so.
Yeah, if you guys, if that thing would help you, then it saves you guys time, 'cause you don't need to stitch together things
Oh,
anymore.
yeah.
You would just have it. And if you have,
And if we have the ability to get super recent, because like, for example, maybe the newest aerial has it, but like the contraflow lane is so new that it's not in street view, and it's not in some of the old, the bird's eye view.
I'll ask, see what we can find out.
Yeah,
I
just give me a
heard
call or
in the
shoot me an
past when
email.
someone's brought that up, that they say no, but it hasn't been the city of Palo Alto yet, so.
I wonder if lives in the
They
city.
will know what true power is.
Exactly.
Well, it's good to know, because I think it'll help everybody out. It'll save some time, which lets us kind of put more money back towards kind of plan development, community outreach. So it's helpful for us if it can
They're
be available.
very conservative about handing out data like that, especially from the map department, so we'll see.
Okay, so we'll
Sign waivers.
So I do want to, at that point, kind of just leave it open. And if anything else came up while I was gone, if not, put these dates on your calendars. We'll send out meeting invitations for all of them. If you didn't sign in this, check into the sign-in sheet. Please do so. Lauren, I didn't really give you too much of an opportunity to talk. I wanted Lauren here just to hear what we're doing in Palo Alto.
Yeah.
But did you have any questions for us, or?
No, I think my main thought is, I want to take advantage of what you're doing here and have the other member agencies involved so they can maybe learn from what you're doing and move forward, and then of course coordinate figuring out how to assist with funding the construction of it and all that. So maybe inviting, I could do that, inviting the member agencies to come on some of the bike alongs. The other thought I had was we were talking actually with Google about organizing a NACTA workshop, a lot like what San Mateo County is doing, a lot like what Oakland is doing. And so I don't know if that could be part of this process, or we would want to focus on another community that maybe didn't already have all this work going on.
Well, yeah, that might be something that I would see value in. If you guys if you wanted us to potentially host something here at the council chambers, I'd be willing to help do that, because.
Are you familiar with with what's happening in Oakland?
Yeah.
Okay.
But if it's also good for us, because our bicycle advisory committee has been so far kind of like on the fence regarding some kind of NACTO type of strategies, and I think that the more education kind of opportunities we have for them and just the general public, I think it'll make it easier when we can have these overall meetings later. So
I'm actually helping with the Oakland
Oh, you are?
roadshow, and I hosted a roadshow in Atlanta when I was the director of transportation planning for Atlanta. So I was an ACTO member. I'd be glad to help you.
Cool, yeah, no,
Need any
I'll
assistance with
talk
that?
to you.
Yeah.
This is just an initial thought, and I haven't even delved into it, but we want to bring it, something like that to Santa Clara County.
all right, cool. How about Google? Any thoughts on your side?
Not yet.
All right.
Go download and I'm sure we'll come back with more.
So our next meeting would be on the 28th. Let me ask you guys, is the 28th too long? Do you want to maybe try and meet one time again as an overall group, so you can kind of reconfirm the schedule together, talk about expanding the scopes a little early on if there was cost savings on your end? If you get me your schedules within the next week, then I can put them all together on a project, and then you can also send me your revised estimates. It'd be nice to kind of give you guys all the right go-ahead to collect extra data if we could meet in a couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks max.
I
I'll
think
throw it out to you.
we'll be having a separate meeting
Yeah.
with the rest of our subs and whatnot.
How about for the rest of you guys at Alternate Fair Peers?
I think that would be good in terms of, because we haven't really fully scoped out like the details of our data collection plan. I want you to review that, so the sooner the better.
Well, then I'll just schedule out something in 3 weeks from now, let you guys kind of call your subs for the data collection, work on your calendars, and gives me time to pull all together after you send it to me. And then, so if we meet in 3 weeks, that might be the week of the 14th. And then we can still meet again, we can plan on meeting the 28th, and maybe we'll have that as a hold for now, and if we don't need it, then we can cancel the 28th.
Would that be like at 1 o'clock, rumble?
This time here.
Or 1:30?
We can do 1:30 if you guys want, if that's easier for you guys. Gives me time to eat too.
Yeah, I was just saying, you knew where I was going with that.
Were you guys okay with that too? I didn't even ask you, I'm sorry.
For the April 14th?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Say 14th or 20th?
Oh, 14th. The week of the 14th. I'll figure out a day.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
The week of the 14th.
Unless that you bring in food next time.
I wish.
Guys who make the 1 o'clock meetings.
About water?
Oh,
Ron, I probably will meet with you separately sometime in the next couple of weeks though, just to do a little bit more focus meeting on yours, because I think that, again, yours is primed to get accelerated really quick, and that could be one where, depending how fast it moves, that actually might be a potential grant project. If not for the state one, at least for the county one.
Churchill?
Yeah, Churchill.
Sounds good. This is state.
We guys have to talk to.
That's why we're with the Churchill.
Well, thank you guys for being here. We appreciate it. It was a good meeting.
Yeah,
Thank you.
appreciate it.
So, I'll put a plan of meetings when we're in.
Appreciate getting the contract.